Hey guys, welcome to Green Bean Fiction. So in today's video we are gonna see, what if Deku became Power Ranger and had harem? Part 1. This story is Izuku Ranger Life in a Female World by ZO23619. Before starting, make sure to hit that like button, as your one like motivates me to bring more stories, and subscribe the channel if you are new so you won't miss our latest videos. It all started when a baby girl was born in China with the ability to produce light from her body. After this incident, women around the world started to produce strange powers that came from person to person. Unfortunately, the amount of men in the world started to decline because of this, and a total population in the world goes down to less than 5%. From this, many children are born from test tubes to contain balance in the world, and gender diversity from the men that are left are used as a breeding horse for the most part, or really rare to see men in the world. Some countries even have made laws to force men to create harems in the hopes of adding more men to help get the populations back. Though it's not the most seen issue, the bigger issue is controlling the quirks and preventing danger from those who use them for themselves. But the government has created a job for those who wish to help them in any way they can. This job is being called a heroine. When women become heroine, there are two types: limelight heroes that dude is here working the day, and there's underground heroes who are heroes at night. Now let's start the story off. Toshinora Pav. After a long day's work, I'm ready to go home and relax, but on the way home I hear an infant crying in an alleyway. When I reached the alleyway, I could hear the infant crying in the back corner in a box. When I looked in the box, my mouth hung open in the shock I have on my face, because I thought it was another case of leaving a girl because the patients do not want her, but no, it's a boy, an actual male infant, which is rare in the world with only less than 5%. I thought of bringing the child to an orphanage, but now am I overthinking it? Because if a boy was to show up at an orphanage, the government would take him away and put him in the program later when he is the right age and treat him badly. So my next thought is to adopt him and raise him as my own. I will have my collies help me raise him, and I'll ask Nezu to help me hide him so people won't go after him. I'll look after him, and I'll make my master proud because I didn't help save her when she told me to leave. Later, well, I got back to my house. I got a closer look at them because I do not want to take them out and bring attention to me, because I'm All Might, and if they see me with a male, things can get bad. I placed him down on my bed and took a closer look at him. He had black hair with green highlights in them, and bright green emerald eyes with diamond freckles on each of his cheeks. When looking through his blanket, I found a note. The note said that his name was Izuku, and said that his original mother could not take care of him at all because she was not ready to have a child yet, no less a male. It also said, please take care of him because I know you will, and please make sure that the government does not find out, because of how bad the government is when it comes to a male when they find them. It said she was asking you nicely, please watch over it, love, Mom. When I finished reading it, I made the right choice to bring him home with me. Now I have to wait until the next day to bring him to Nezu for adoption papers, because I know Nezu has a lot of blackmail on the government. The next day. Today was the weekend, and that means UA was closed for the day. I know Nezu is still in her office. I gave her a call to meet me in person immediately because it was an emergency, and after that called my mentor Gran Torina, who is like a mother to me, to help me with this. When they both responded back to me, I told Gran Trina to meet me at Nezu's office. When we were both there, I started off by asking you for a favor. Nezu Pav. Toshinora called me for a meeting for an unknown reason, but an emergency or something. When I told her to come, she came with Gran Torina. When I started the meeting, she asked me for a favor. I didn't understand why until a baby noise got me and Gran Torino both looked at her, and she brought out a male infant. We were both surprised at this because no male it's been born within 5 to 10 years so far, and I finally understand why she needed a favor from me. Toshinora Pav. Now you know why I want this meeting, because I want to adopt him, because I want to make sure he has a good life and is not bleeding in the government facility and being a bred horse and being punished for no reason, so he hasn't had the fever. I want to ask you is, can you get adoption papers so I can take him in as my son, please? Nezu gave me her answer and she said yes. A few hours later she got the adoption papers. When I was about to sign them, I asked Gran Torina if she wanted to be his grandmother. She thought about it at first and she said yes, so I have son now. I name Izuku Yagi now. 5 years later. Today is Izuku's 5th birthday and he is excited to see what his quirk is. I told him that he might not get one because he is a male and males do not get quirks, but that did not stop him at all, so we got into my car and drove off to UA to see Recovery Girl to do his checkup, because if we did into it a normal hospital, people would freak out if they see me and they will figure out that I have a son, so I do not want to risk it. When we made it to see Recovery Girl, she did the normal quirk test to see what quirk Izuku would get. When Recovery Girl came out, she told him that he was not getting a quirk. I thought he would get depressed, but turns out I was wrong. He said he'll be more determined to become a hero no matter what, and he can be the first male and cordless hero to do it. When he showed me his smile, it brought up my day and made me a goal to make his life happy. When I asked him what his favorite hero was, he told me All Might and Eraserhead because All Might always brings a smile to everyone's face, and for Eraserhead, he said that she only fights quirks, and that proves you can be a hero no matter what. If you have weak or villainous quirk, you can still be a hero. That brought a smile to my face, and I asked him if he would like to be trained to become a hero. He immediately said yes, and I know where to start training. Izuku Pav. When I responded to her question, she was happy and she left the room to get something. She told me that she would get something and told me to just wait there, and I talked to Recovery Girl about becoming a hero. She told me I could become one, but to be careful as well because of how dangerous people can be. When my mom came back, I was surprised and happy to meet one of my favorite heroes, and that is Eraserhead. When my mom to me watch her, she transformed and became All Might. That freaked me out a bit until I realized who she was, and I was surprised that my mom is All Might herself. Then my mom asked me an important question: would I like to be trained by both of them? And I immediately said yes, because I can start working out small to my age, then do bigger work when I am grown up a bit and start working on my hand combat with Eraserhead. Toshinora Pav. 10 years later. It has been 15 years now since I have adopted Izuku, and I have not regretted it at all. He helps me with everything and he makes me smile a lot more, but that all changed 5 years ago. I got into a fight against my enemy All For One. We had fought for a few hours and I finally got the landing below to finish her off, but I got hurt as well and the left side of my organs got almost destroyed. With that, I can now only do hero work for a few hours without getting tired, but no matter what happens to me, as Izuku will always be the reason why I smile even near death itself. Power Ranger Universe. In a town called Angel Grove, there is the command center where it's the home of the Power Rangers. At the computer, there was one of the original Rangers left, and his name is Billy, the Blue Mighty Morphin Power Ranger, sitting at a computer putting code and information into what looks like the original Morpher, but instead it's the Master Morpher. Next to the Master Morpher are the other Morphers, as well as the power source that makes them Rangers, from the power coins to the Dino keys. The Ranger had uses throughout the years, from Mighty Morphin to Dino Fury. The reason why Billy is doing it is because they are Power Rangers that are needed all over the Morphine grade. He first starts this with his friend Tommy, the Green and White Power Ranger. When they're both in the command center, they both get a reading of all of the Rangers' enemies from the past to now come back into a certain universe where they are no Rangers at all. So Tommy and Billy started me to get all the Morphers that the Rangers had used throughout the years. When putting all the Morphers together, they still had the old Rangers' DNA that allows them to use special powers that they had. When putting all the Morphers together, they were making sure they could use the Rangers' weapons, skills, and Zords that have been used to help protect the world. Halfway through the project, Tommy died from old age. Then Billy became the only original Ranger left that can still get it done within a few years, but with help from his partners Alpha 5 through 7, they may actually make it done within a few months. When they were done, Billy looked to the right and he saw an old photo of him and his team when they were still teenagers, looking back at them. Billy became happy remembering the moments when they were together, moving around and saving the world together, as a tear came down his face remembering the past with them. Billy Pav. All right, just a few more test runs, then it'll be good to go. I can't believe all of our enemies are back, which is impossible, but after that Z-wave that I created on accident and brought back all of our enemies and the other Rangers as well, it's even worse that they all went to a different universe to take over that Earth. When I last checked on that Earth, people started to have superpowers, which is a weird thing. Not as weird as the population is around 98% females and 2% males, but looking back at it, their powers would not even do damage to the foot soldiers at all if they've tried to attack. Well, maybe that All Might person might do a bit damage to them but not destroy them. I hope the Master Morpher chooses the right welder and not some arrogant prick who thinks they are all better than everyone. No one Pav. Achu. Are you alright? Bakugo said. I'm fine, you extra. Back to Billy. Okay, looking at this chart, our enemies might start attacking within 1 year time or less. If I send the Master Morpher now, it can get there at the end of the month so the person can train with the weapons and get used to the power, or if it gets there late, I can only hope the Master can help them. Alright, Alpha 5, 6, 7, Get ready to transport the Master Morpher. When the portal was ready, I put the Master Morpher in a pod just in case it got damaged on the way. When I put the pod in the portal closed with the Master Morpher in it, and it started the journey to meet the new ranger. MHA World, Izuku's POV. It has now been 10 years since my appointment with Recovered Girl to see what my quirk was, and I turned out to be quirkless, which brought me down a bit. My mom asked me and I was alright. I said yes, and I still want to be here no matter what. When she asked me that question, I did not expect her to come back with Eraserhead, and she transformed All Might, which was the biggest surprise for me. They both said that they would train me to become the first quirkless hero, which I agreed to. When I first started training, I had a very hard time because my body was not big enough yet for those big exercises, so they started off small. When my mom was not doing hero at work, she brought me to places to have fun with her, but the thing is I had to wear a disguise the whole time because everyone will be after me. People here and villains just want to keep me from them, so me and my mom agreed to have to wear a disguise to go to places, but not one at home. I was always homeschooled, so I didn't have to go to school and deal with a bunch of girls being rude to me. Now that I am 15, I can start doing harder exercises with my mom and Eraserhead, which left me not being able to move from time to time. During my years of training, I decided to do online school because I couldn't go to school because of my gender. While doing online school, it turns out I was much smarter than everyone else had thought. During that time, Nezu gave me an IQ test to see where I was, and to everyone's surprise I scored a 357 on the test, and Nezu's IQ is 400. So I started doing online school much quicker, passing each grade within 6 months. When I turned the age of 15, I had graduated college already with a few master's degrees in different types of business, support, and as well as different general courses. With those different degrees, it might come a handy later on, but I don't know what they're going to come in handy for though yet. When my mom brought me to a beach that was full of trash, and for my training I had to clean up the whole beach by myself with no help, which was hard half the time because I had to keep putting the wing back on or fixing it when people walked by. After a hard time, that beach took me at least 10 months to finish because each time I cleaned a section more trash would show up all of a sudden, which was starting to get annoying, but I did not care about it and still cleaned it up. When I finally finish it up, I only have 3 years left to go to UA. I talked to my mom about it and she was okay with it. I asked Neza about it and she was okay with it because it would help me be hidden from the government so they wouldn't touch me, but also the cause drama against the whole school because of me. That's when this is probably thinking right now when I asked her. Hours later, on my way home from training with Eraserhead, something caught my eye, and that was a weird group of villains. Was strange because all of them looked like gray-looking putty things, and they were all attacking a girl in the middle of the night while no heroes around. I couldn't just stand there and watch, and all of a sudden my feet started moving on their own. When it got close to the putty-looking things, they were the weirdest-looking things I have ever seen. When I saw them, I was too scared to move. That did not stop me, and I ran forward to help save the girl when fighting them. They were really hard to defeat, but good thing that I was training hand combat with Eraserhead to help me deal with them. When fitting them off, I was having a hard time, and they pushed me up against a wall next to an old rusty pipe, which I grabbed and started to hit harder against them. At least 10 minutes later, the putty-looking things had disappeared and I was able to catch my breath. When I was able to catch my breath, I heard a shock sound behind me because the girl saw my face without the disguise before I could say anything. She ran off somewhere and I could not get the chance to tell her anything. After that, I went home and went to bed. Girl POV. After a long day hanging out with my friend, I was on my way home when I was dragged into an alleyway, and before I could say anything I saw something that scared me, like a weird-looking monster made out of putty or something. I was having a hard time finding them until a random girl came to rescue me. She was each one of them until they all ganged up on her and pushed her against the wall, but when they did that, something from the top of her head, and when I saw what it was a wig. I could not believe my eyes that there was a male around my age fighting these weird putty things, and he defeated them with a rusted pipe. When he turned to say something to me, I just ran because of what I just saw, not because of the putty things, but because I saw an actual male in front of me. I was so scared because of what my mom had told me about what males do to females, so I just ran home until I got there. When I got home, my mom asked me why I was waiting and running, and I told her everything about going home, being dragged into an alleyway, and being saved by a girl who turned out to be a male. When I saw the male I got really confused and then excited because I saw a male who was really hard and rare to find, and she asked me what he looked like, but I didn't get the chance in because he was in the alley still and I was just scared still right off, but I did get a good look at his eyes, which were bright emerald green color. Girl mom pav. When my daughter told me about what happened and she saw a male, I was so happy that she saw a male, but I was wondering if she saw what he looked like, and when she said she didn't see anything except for his bright green emerald eyes. So after that, I told my daughter Momo to go to bed and relax. Momo pav. When I went to my room I couldn't stop thinking about the male who saved me from those party-looking things, and I'm wondering if I am going to meet him again later on and thank him for saving me. Now I'm looking back and now I'm an idiot for not staying and saying thank you anyway, but next time I see him I want to ask for his name and think of what he did to me tonight, and I will never forget that he saved me. The next day, Izuku pav. The next morning when I got up I found the chance to tell my mom about what happened last night. The reason why I didn't get to tell her last night was because she wasn't home. When I told her what had happened she had a mix of emotions at the same time, but I think she had a new idea to help me out. Toshinora pav. When I got downstairs the next morning I saw my son in the living room on the couch thinking about something. When I went behind them and asked him what was wrong, he told me something bad happened last night and a certain incident. He told me how his day went with a razor head and his hand-in-hand combat training, and on his way home he told me he saw something that was strange. He said he saw what looked like weird putty people and they were attacking on a girl. He said he didn't know what had happened because his feet were just moving on their own. Which surprised me because he said he didn't know what's going on until he was close enough to figure out that his legs moved on her own. After that he told me how he defended the girl and defeated the party people. But something happened afterwards. The girl saw him not in his disguise. That part is almost worrying if the girls saw him without his disguise, and I'm not ready for the government to try barging in from door to door looking for him. Izuku said that she didn't get a good look at him because he was still in the dark, but I think that his eyes are dead giveaway because no matter how dark in a room he is or outside his eyes are always glowing so bright, which is why we are able to find him in a dark area. Me and Eraserhead figured this out when we were training him in stealth that one time when we both saw his bright eyes shining in the dark, so after that I got him a pair of goggles to hide his eyes like Eraserhead's when she uses it to hide her quirk activate. Alright Izuku, now he need a new disguise to hide his eyes as well, might as well get contact lens for him. When he says he mentioned a girl that saw him, I have a pretty good guess that she told her mother, then her mother's going to put out a search for Izuku. When I was about to tell Izuku to go and get changed to go out to buy things for him, but before I could say it I got a phone call from Nezu. When I answered it she told me to get to her office as fast as possible and bring Izuku with me. From the sound of Nezu's voice she sounded desperate because I think that the girls had told her mother last night and has formed the government about Izuku, and I hope that I am wrong about it. Izuku pav. After my mom was thinking anyway to help me, she was about to tell me to go change, but at the last second she got a phone call from someone. When she was done with a phone call she told me to go upstairs and get changed as quickly as possible because we have to go to Nezu's office, and I think it's about what happened last night. After I changed and got into my mom's car we quickly drove to Ua. When we got there were a lot of reporters saying that Ua has to help with finding the male that is in Japan that is around this area. When we got out of the car my mom was not in her hero outfit, so we just walked past the reporters and into the gates because we have passes to get it in. When we passed the gate I saw one of the teachers that had taught me how to fight with Eraserhead, and her name was Midnight. Midnight pav. When I was in my office grading papers with the other staff, Nezu had called everyone into a meeting about what had just happened with Izuku. Now you might be wondering why. How do I know Izuku? It is because he always comes here to do training with Aizawa since he was 5, and he got to meet all the teachers here as well, which we were surprised at first, but later we all grew attached to him and we all became his aunts and uncles to have. All of the teachers have to keep it a secret from everyone. I remember the first time when I met Izuku when he was training with Aizawa the first time, and I walked in on them, and to say from my reaction it was a surprise at first, but I later learned that he was the son of All Might and he still wanted to be a hero even if he is quirkless. When he said that, I respect from him for that. Over the years of him coming over to UA to train with Eraserhead he also got training from the other heroes as well, or just to have fun with them since he is still a little kid and deserved a childhood. Flashback since the start of training. While walking around trying to find Aizawa and tell her that the coffee is resupplied, to my surprise when I found her she was training a little boy in hand-in-hand combat, so I just sat there and watched until they're over until I made myself present. When I did, the little boy was surprised while Aizawa was getting one of her death glares for not saying something sooner, but she let it slide. After that I got a chance to meet little boy and his name was Izuku. After that I asked him a question of why he was training and his answer was to become the first quirkless male hero. That surprised me at first just to think about a male hero, but after that I started thinking on if I should help train him. When I asked, it is all about training him and plus letting him have fun still since he's a kid. She said yes to it, and one by one the other staff members heard about him and we all were told mine to not say a word about him outside of school. For the training that I did for him was to be more flexible. Power Loader taught him to always analyze things and how to make and fix things as well, and when she taught him analyze things he was a natural and he was scary a bit when he was analyzing things. He might become a new Nezu from it. Present Mike taught him different types of instruments and how to sing. Snipe taught him how to shoot the gun and how to treat it well. Ectoplasm taught him to cover more ground. 13 had taught him how to rescue others from different situations, and finally Lunch Rush taught him how to cook. End of flashback. When the two came to me I brought them to Nezu office to talk about what had happened and why there were lots of reporters asking to help find the teenage male. Nezu Pav. Thank you for all coming. Now the reason why I call you All Might is because well you can see outside by all the reporters asking to help find the teenage male which is right in front of us, but the main question is how do they know that there was a teenage male, which we all did our best to try and cover up and the best that we could. Can any of you explain how this happened? While I was sitting there Izuku told me everything that happened, from him calling on his way home from Eraserhead training to saving a girl and how his disguise fell off. After hearing Izuku explain why he is at fault for not making sure his disguise is on properly and not loose, I am not mad, just surprised. And now the real question is, what were those putty things and are there going to be more of them? That is the question I'm wondering. Right when I said that, the TV in my office turned on with a breaking broadcast that's saying a new village showed up and the heroes are having a hard time within the villains, which turn out to be the putty things and that Izuku had mentioned, and it's right outside the school's gates attacking all the reporters. I called all the teachers to go outside and deal with the putty things. Right after I said that, I told Midnight to take Izuku out of here and get somewhere safe, and I hope that this mess is taking care of them quickly. Izuku Pav. When Nezu told Midnight to take me out of the building to go somewhere safe, we were almost outside of the campus right next to the gym, but on our way out until what looked to be around 40 of the putty things surrounded me and Midnight. A few of the putties surrounded Midnight and pulled her away from me, making her separate from her, and I was surrounded. I tried my hardest to fight them while without giving up. When I looked back at Miss Midnight, something inside of me snapped and I fought my way through the parties and try my best to be right next to her. All of a sudden I was hit in the back of the head. I collapsed right next to her. Mindscape Pav. When I got back up I was confused to see where I was, cause it did not look like the gym area of UA. When I asked is anyone there I got response to turn around. When I did I was surprised to see what was in front of me. There are 6 people in front of me, pink, blue, red, yellow, green and black. Each one of them has their own staff representing each other's colors as well as capes. Morphin Masters. Hello young Izuku Yagi, we are the Morphine Masters and we have been watching people for a while now. Out of all the people here on Earth you have been chosen and become the new Power Ranger of this universe, said the Red Master. Yes child, after looking through all the people here on your planet everyone always has the same desire and it's never truly what we've been looking for, said the Pink Master. Everyone on your planet has been thinking the same thing, it's about money and power and nothing more, said the Blue Master. The reason why we chose you is because of your pure heart, that you always just want to save others and not care about what happens to you, said the Yellow Master. When we saw you protect the girl from last night in that alleyway from those putties we knew you were the right person because everyone else would just walk by and do nothing and let those heroes do it, said the Black Master. Now will you accept the powers of being a ranger and protect those who can't protect themselves from evil, said the Green Master. Izuku Pav. After hearing their offer I was surprised at first and wondered what they meant by making me a ranger and what does that mean, so I asked them what it is. When I asked them, the one in red told me what a ranger is. Red Morphin Master. Young Izuku, a ranger is someone who protects others that cannot protect themselves. We are the creators of the morphing grid and the creators of the powers for the Rangers. Every single Ranger that has come before you has to save the world multiple times against enemies that are too powerful for humans to destroy. Each Ranger had an emulator that was control and commanded their own army, and the things that you are fighting out there are actually called putty, and they are from someone called Rita Repulsa. There are more foot soldiers out there, in which are cogs, Perantrons, Quantrons, Stingwingers, Battling, Cyclobots, Putrids, Kelzake, Tyrannodrones, Crybots, Hidiacs, Chillers, Lava Lizards, Rinchi, Grinders, Moogers, Loogies, X-Borgs, Vivics, Kudabots, Tronics, and Hengemen. Each one of those names I just said are foot soldiers, and the ones that aren't in command are the generals. After the generals, it's their leaders. You can tell which one is which by looking at each one. Said they're glad that they are not this type of ranger here or not. So will you accept the power of a ranger and fight those and protect your world from evil? If you don't, then this world is doomed. Then Izuku Pav. After hearing what the Red Morpher had told me, it took me a while to think about my answer, but my answer was clear. I want to save everyone from those foot soldiers, the generals and the leaders that are attacking the earth. When I gave my answer to the masters, of course it was a yes, and they looked down on me, and I think they were smiling right when I said my answer. My left started to glow, and after it died down a watch appeared on my wrist. When I was about to ask what the watch was, I started to get all the information about every single information I needed from each team, their weapons, powers and Zords, and how to operate them. After that, each of the Morphin Masters told me good luck, and they sent me back into the real world. Outside of the Mindscape. After leaving the Mindscape, it looked like time had slowed down a bit because I was about to hit the floor. I caught myself and started to fight back against the putties, which was much easier than last time. When I destroyed the last putty around me, I looked down to my left wrist and see the watch, but my intention was taking away when her Miss Midnight screaming for help, and my legs moved on their own to save her without knowing the watch transformed into a device in my hands, and with instinct I said words that transformed me into a Power Ranger. Izuku Pav. While running to save Miss Midnight, the watch on my wrist started to glow, and when it died down, I had what looked like one of the Ranger Morphers. I was about to question which one I had, but all the information came to my head and I said the works to morph Tyrannosaurus. And just like that, my body was covering bright red glow, and when the glow stopped, my body was covering it in red and white spandex with a helmet with a Tyrannosaurus Rex face on it. The morpher was placed into a belt buckle, and on the left side of my hip there was a holder with a blaster in it. I didn't have enough time to check myself over. The only thing I was on my mind right now is to help Miss Midnight and save her from the putties that are attacking her. When I got to her, I started to defeat the putties real easily by my newfound power and strength, but I couldn't get rid of the feeling of that I'm being watched right now. But it didn't stop me. When I saved Miss Midnight, she looked at me confused because she did not know who I was. Well, I will be confused as well when someone in red spandex comes over to you and saves you from those putties. Midnight Pav. When Nezu told me to take the Izuku away from Ua and protect him, we were at the gym area, and all of a sudden we were attacked by those putty monster things. I tried my best to stay next to Izuku and try to protect him, but those things dragged me away from him and started ganging up on me. I didn't see what happened, and I couldn't see Izuku at all if he was alright or not. When I tried looking in his direction one more time, all of a sudden I heard him say a word I couldn't hear because of the putty around me. Then there was a bright red glow coming from his direction. When the glow disappeared, there was a man in a bright red and white spandex with a helmet on and what looked like a blaster on his hip. He ran over to me and destroyed all the putty that was surrounding me. When they were destroyed, he asked me if I was all right, but I couldn't get the words out my mouth because I was looking at a man that had a quirk. When I asked him who he was, he told me he was Izuku, and he told me he will explain everything once this is all over with. Izuku Pav. After telling Midnight that I'll explain everything to her when we are done. After I said that I can hear the other heroes having a hard time with the putties, so I told Midnight that I'll take care of them and she won't let me go without her, which I agree to. When we got there, I saw so many heroes having a hard time and some were knocked out, but when I saw Aizawa on the ground not moving, I ran over to her and destroyed all the putties around her. When I took a closer look at her, she was just knocked out from all the damages and that she received from the putties. When I told Midnight to come here and take her to Recovery Girl, I took out my blaster and started to blast all the putty that were close to me. After that, I grabbed my power sword and started to destroy the putties as much quicker. When the parties were destroyed, the remaining heroes stared at me in shock because I took out the putty much quicker within a few seconds, and the heroes were having a hard time trying to land a punch on. When the heroes got up, they all started to come towards me and start asking questions of who I am and starting to demand to see my hero license before I can say anything. A blast was shot towards us and started to smoke the ground. When the smoke cleared, someone or something showed itself to us, which got us scared and confused of what it was. Flashback. Unknown place. POV. While I was talking to everyone around me and celebrating about not having a face in your rangers anymore, our viewing map set us an alert. We all came to it. When we all looked at the map, most of us were angry and surprised because there was a ranger right in front of us destroying my putty's soldiers. Galdar, get down to earth and figure out who this ranger is and report back to me. Do you understand? Now. POV. Galdar. POV. When I got down to earth, I can see the new ranger fighting off the putties and destroying them as well, protecting the humans like every ranger does. When the ranger destroyed the last putty, the humans or so-called heroes started to ask him who he was and started to ask for a hero's license, whatever that was. After that, I thought it was a good idea to show myself, so I grabbed my sword and made myself an entrance when I got their attention. The humans and the ranger all looked at me with fear and confusion of what I am, so I told him. I thought we got away from every Power Ranger, but I guess wrong. Now tell me, Ranger, how you get here. When he did not respond, he just got in a defense stance and I attacked him, and while fighting him I can tell he was a little strong. Then the Ranger back the original universe. Before I let this go on, I teleported myself back to base on the moon. When I got back to base, everyone was watching me on the viewing map, and some of them had heard me when I said that he was stronger than the Ranger back at the original universe, and some of them got more determined to make more powerful henchmen to take over the earth and to defeat this new Ranger. Izuku. POV. When that monster left, everyone was confused at what just happened. I wonder what they are confused about. One is at the putty that attacked them. Was it me or was it the monster I was fighting with and he disappeared at the end? I don't know why, but I took the chance right there to get away from everyone because they are all still in shock of what just happened. When I got far away enough, I powered down and was back into my normal clothes. When I was walking back to Nezu's office, I was almost caught by some press that was around the corner and I couldn't hide anywhere. The closest thing to me that I could hide in was a trash can. I didn't want to take any risk of them finding me, so I jumped in the trash can and waited for them to walk by. When they walked by, I got a phone call from my mom, and when I answered it, she was worried about what happened, and when I asked me about what Midnight had said, I told her I would tell her as soon as possible, but I need help to escape from the press right next to me. She asked me where I was. I told her that I was in a trash can at that location. Right when I said, she laughed a bit and started coming my way. When she got there, she was still in her hero form and the press started to surround her, which made it harder for her to get to me. She had to make up a lie saying that she was told to take this trash can and dump it in the trash bin in the back of the school. When the press heard that, they all believed her and made room for her to come pick me up in the trash can still. When she grabbed the trash can, she jumped off on top of the building and told me it was safe for me to get out. When I got out of the trash can, she was laughing at me because I still had trash on me, but what caught her attention was the bracelet on my left wrist and asked me where I got it from. I told her I'll tell her and the rest of the teachers what happened today and what this is on my wrist. Time skip to the meeting. When the meeting started, Nezu had asked if anyone know what they had encountered today and if they saw anything like this before, and who was that person in the red suit that was called a ranger from the creature that had fought him. Before I could say anything, Midnight had beat me to it. She said that I could explain it better because I actually know what those were that they had fought today. When she said that, everyone had started to stare at me. When my mom asked me if I did, and I told them everything that had happened yesterday to know. For how I first saw the putties last night attacking a girl, then the fight that happened today, how I was chosen to become a Power Ranger to protect the world from those who want to destroy it and make it their one. All Might. POV. When my son told me of what had happened in better detail and more info than this morning, I got scared at first, but when he told me that he was the person in the red suit that took care of the putties easily while he took care of it within a few seconds of fighting them. When I was going to ask him how he got this power, and beeping noise came out of my son's watch, and all of a sudden a hologram started to play from his watch. When Izuku had put the watch on the table, we all got to see a video of what a Power Ranger is and its responsibilities. It had told us that the Power Rangers are from a different universe, that quirks don't exist, telling all of us that they fought quirkless. It showed a few of their battles against their enemies to show what they are capable of. When it showed their battles, it also showed quirk-less people transforming into the Power Rangers and saving everyone as well, defeating the villains as well. The hologram stopped playing. Everyone at the meeting was dead silent and no one said a single word until Izuku asked us what we thought about him being a ranger, and I was the first to respond to him. Well, Izuku, I think that if all of the old ranger enemies are here, I think you have the power to deal with them, but there's a big problem with it. You will make an account of vigilantism while doing it, and you don't go to UA in 3 years since you are only 15 still. Izuku Pav. When my mom said about being a vigilante and would need a hero license to fight them off and protect everyone, which is pretty stupid if you tell me. My mom is right, I am only 15 years old and I have to be 18 years old to go to UA for me to start training to become a hero. When I was about to say something about it, Nezu had cut me off before I can say something because she had a plan of what's going to happen. Nezu Pav. Well, now we know that Izuku here has the power to defeat these beings. I say let's get him a hero's license as soon as possible, but keep it from the people that he's a male still, so there won't be problem later on when heroes show up and ask him for a license. I will not like that to happen to Izuku here, because if they found out he has as a male and he has powers, the government will take him away from us. So Izuku would like to have your hero license early. Izuku Pav. When Nezu asked me if I would want my license early, I said yes, so I can stop my enemies as soon as they come to Earth and defeat them so they won't come back after they are destroyed, because it is the only way to stop them. When I said that, Nezu gave me a smile and told me that I can take the test in a few days, but I had to take it here at one of the UA testing sites. When I was told that, I was happy, but I thought about the most important part of it all. When I told Nezu about the test, isn't there someone in the government that makes the choice to see if someone gets the license or not? She told me not to worry about it. So I guess that I have to wait until it starts in a few days. Last night Pav. Momo Mom Pav. When my daughter told me that she saw a boy and he saved her from some villains that had dragged her in the alleyway. I told my daughter Momo that she can go to her room for the night, and when I saw her go upstairs, I decided to call one of my friends that I went to school with and tell her about what had happened to my daughter and who had saved her. My friend is the CEO of one of the biggest news stations in Japan. When I was done explaining to her what had happened, she had told me that she had a trail to finding the mail that in Japan, because one of her worker found a random file on her desk talking about a male sighting around UA going in and out, and with the information that you gave me that the male is in custody in UA to hide him from the rest of the world, and if you tell me that the male look like the same age of your daughter, then that means one of the teachers is his mother and is training him to do exactly what. The day of the attack. When I got up, my friend told me that the news was about to start soon and I wanted to watch it to see what UA thinks about it. When the news was about to start, my daughter Momo came downstairs to greet me. When she saw me in front of the TV, she asked me why I was not at the table to eat. I was about to respond, but I forgot that the broadcast would not start in another hour, so I told her that I was waiting for her to get up so I could eat with her. When we were eating, Momo asked me again, and the reason why is because I don't watch TV that much since I had to run the company every day with small breaks now and then. When I told her the truth, she was shocked and asked if she could watch it with me. Momo Pav. When I asked my mother if I could watch the news about the male sighting and what had happened last night, I wanted to know if what I saw was real. When me and my mom finished eating breakfast, we went to the living room and started the news report about what happened last night and the sighting of a male coming in and out of UA. When they said UA, I was surprised because I thought it was an all-girls school, but now that I think about it, the way he had fought the villains last night, I was convinced that he had to be trained. When the news was outside of UA demanding to be let in. When the reporters were trying to get in, they had found what looks like a teacher and a younger girl that might be a first student maybe, but when I saw the girl's eyes, I never forgot the boy's eyes because they were the same from last night, and her hair, when I looked close enough, it was a wig and it was the same color that had fallen off of him when he was protecting me, and as well it is a wig is because I can see a different color and a bit darker hair under it. Just by looking at him I can tell that he really did not want it to be found out, and by the looks of makeup he's using I can tell that he has a few years of experience with it. After a while the news was starting getting by the something that had pulled me into that alleyway last night. The news reporters were lucky to get away from and had showed the fight that was happening. When the heroines were fighting them they couldn't get a single hit on them and the villains were given the heroine injuries while having a hard time staining. When the villains were about to kill the heroine off, all of a sudden someone jumped in the middle of both the villains and the injured heroines. When the person had faced the camera they looked like a new heroine, but it looked like a male to me. She was standing in front of the heroines and the villains. The villains ran to the new heroine and started to attack her, but what came to my surprise, and so was everyone. The new heroine was taking care of them easily, and all of a sudden she said something. A sword had appeared out of nowhere. When they were fighting she had called them putties, and when the new heroine took one last swing of her sword all of the putties had fallen to the ground. When the new heroine had turned around and made a pose all of the putties had exploded into small pieces and vanished without a trace. Everyone was speechless of what had happened. When one of the heroines had asked for her license the ground was destroyed and smoke came out of the ground, and when the smoke cleared another villain showed up. When the new villain was said to be a Power Ranger in this universe, we made sure to go nowhere a ranger should be. After that the two had fought and the golden villain said that he was stronger than the rest and the villain had vanished into thin air. When the fight was over the villain was gone and the new named heroine the Power Ranger had vanished. After the fight was over the news had to stop showing the feed and my mom turned to me and said that was nothing she was accepting at all. A few days later, after what happened on the news, I thought over what I had seen. The villains I saw last night, seeing the male that saved me in the disguise of a girl, the villain of last night showed up and attacked in broad daylight, a new heroine called a Power Ranger, and the golden villain. What was in my mind the most was what had called the Power Ranger a he. Then I started to think that maybe the male from last night and the Power Rangers are the same person. I was brought out of my thoughts when my mom told me to come downstairs and go to the TV. When I got downstairs and went to the TV I saw my mom staring at it before I could say anything. There was a live news report of the Power Ranger doing a test to get her license to do heroine work, and I decided to sit there and watch what will happen, if she will pass to become a new heroine or not. But what happened a few days ago, I think she will pass it with flying colors. A few minutes ago, Izuku Pav. A few days had passed since I made my appearance as a Power Ranger. Every time that I went online there was a new article about me and a lot of questions wondering what my quirk is and who is under the mask. When the news had hit the Hero Safety Commission, every person there was trying to find me and recruit me to work for them, but all of them were having a hard time trying to find me since there was no quirk registered that matches my description. When my test came to get my hero's license in a few hours, the president of the Hero Safety Commission said that she wanted to watch the test herself, which was a problem for me since no one besides Uwa knows that I am a male. When I was in one of the rooms of the school, my mom Nezu and Izawa walked in and told me that I will do fine. When the test was about to start I put on my wig and a mask to hide my face from the present face. Little did I know that she had set up cameras everywhere around the testing site so everyone in Japan could watch me to see if I became a hero or not. For my test I just had to destroy robots, and you try to keep people stay clear and try to not do as much damage in the area. When I walked into the arena the president told me about the hidden cameras right when I walked in, and before I could say anything the test started. While running around saving civilians to get back behind the borderline, Nezu had just released the robots for me to fight, which I was ready for. When the robots came out I was not expecting them to be the robots from the entrance exam at all. Right when I was about to pull my morpher out I heard it cry, and what I saw was a civilian about to be crushed by rubble from a building that was falling, so I just went forward to save her without even thinking. My morpher transformed into the red Dino morpher. When it turned to that morpher I gained super speed to save the civilian and told her to be more careful. Right when I said that almost all of the robots starting to surround me and I knew it was time to morph into a ranger. Izuku Pav. Right when I saved the civilian almost half of all the robots of the test started coming around me and I knew I couldn't hold back anymore. Once I'm morph I had brought out my Tyranno staff to help me out to take care of the rust bucket that they called robots. Once I did that I started to fight each one of the robots and started taking them out much faster. While I was doing that the people that were watching it were surprised to see me in a different outfit than last time. Nezu Pav. When the test started we all wanted Izuku to start to save every civilian he sees in his way and see if they are right or not. After a minute 2 all let out the 1, 2 and 3 point robots to start slowing him physically down. Right when he saved that civilian, almost all of the 1, 2 and 3 pointers surrounded him. The president was about to say something until we saw him transformed into a suit, but once he did that we were all surprised to see he was in a new suit which did not go unnoticed by the president. When Izuku was done transforming to his ranger suit, it was a bit different from the red suit with the white diamond pattern on his whole body and not on his chest, and with a dinosaur footprint on his chest. When the president was about to ask why it was a different suit, when she saw that Izuku had pulled out a 6-foot staff from his belt buckle. When the president saw that, she just kept quiet and continued to watch and see what happened next. When the time was almost up, I decided to have some fun and release the 0-pointer and see how Izuku will handle this. Izuku Pav. When I was fighting the robots one by one and saving others as well, all of the 1, 2, and 3 pointers were all destroyed. I was about to power down until the ground started to shake. When I tried to look for the source of where all the shaking was coming from, until I look up and saw 3 0-pointers, and I knew that I had to use the Megazords for this. When the 0-pointers were getting closer to everyone, I called in the Tyrannosaur, Tricerazord, and the Pterazord, to make the Megazord to take down the 0-pointers. When the Zords were summoned and hop into the Tyrannosaur and log in to control the Zord while combining them to make the Thundersaurus Megazord. When the Megazord was complete, the 0-pointers started to fight back. I used the Tricerazord as a shield when the first 0-pointer attacked. I used the Terrorong to attack the first 0-pointer, which clouded several times and destroyed the first one. Next I punched the 0-pointer while my hand came out the other end of the pointer and used the drill and drill my way through the last one, finishing off each of the 0-pointers like nothing while making sure no one was under use when we fought. When the test was over, I hop out of the. When the Megazord was complete, I started to finish off each of the 0-pointers like nothing while making sure no one was under use when we fought. When the test was over, I hop out of the Thundersaurus Megazord and power down to my civilian clothing and walk by to the gate to see if I pass or not. Nezu Pav. When I let loose the 0-pointer, the president had told me to release 2 more to see what happens and see what he can really do. When I look at All Might, she was about to say something, but what Izuku did got everyone watching to look at him with wide eyes, and I bet that everyone that is watching the news is doing the same thing. We were taken out of our thoughts when Izuku came in with his disguise on, so the president does not recognize him as the male. When the president came close to Izuku and gave him a look to really see if he was fit to be a hero or not. The president smiled at him and said that he had passed and will get his license around tomorrow, and she asked Izuku for which suit he wanted to put in his hero license as his profile picture. Izuku looked over to me because if he talks to the president we'll find out he is the male that she is looking for, so I had to step in to help Izuku. "I'm sorry, Madam President," I said. When she looked over to me and gave me the look to explain. "Izumi here has some trust issues, so I will be helping her answer your question that you have for her." "Okay, so Izumi, what would you like to have as the photo for your license, the one you used a few days ago or the one you use on the test?" asked the president. Izuku looked over at Nezu and whispered in her ear and told her what she wanted on the license. Nezu had a smile and looked back to the president and told her what Izuku wanted to be on his license. "Madam President, Izumi wants her picture to be her black stealth clothing like a Rosserhead. Izumi also wants these logos on the card so other heroes will know that it is her with the different suits on." When the president was about to agree, she asked to see the logos of each suite, and when she saw them she was surprised and confused at the same time. "What does each logo mean and why so many of them?" the president asked. "When then, madam, let me explain what Izumi had told me to tell you in the teams in order. Each of her ranger forms have a certain design on them to tell which ranger she is and the power that comes with them for certain suits. The teams of rangers that have from 3 to maybe 10 people on it have their own Zords they can control from the power they have, will each Zord being a different type of animal or vehicle they are able to control and to defeat the villains that grow to giant size. If you aren't thinking that the government should have those weapons and Zords, you're wrong, because they cannot be taken from her and all, because if they try to use them they will not work for them at all." "Now let's get started, shall we?" said Nezu. "We have the team called the Mighty Morphin Rangers. That was the ranger Izumi had used a few days ago. The logo of that team is the Alien Rangers. The team for that is called the ZEO Rangers. That one is for the Turbo Ranger. This one is for the Space Ranger. The Lost Galaxy Rangers. Lightspeed Rescue Rangers. The Time Force Rangers. Wild Forces Rangers. The Wind Rangers, or their other name Ninja Storm Rangers. This is the suit Izumi uses and it's called the Dino Thunder Rangers." SPD, Mystic Force Rangers, Operation Overdrive Rangers, Jungle Fury Rangers, RPM Rangers, Samurai Rangers, Megaforce Rangers, Dino Charge Rangers, and the last three are the Ninja Steel, Beast Morpher, and Dino Fury Ranger the Izumi can turn into at a time she wants to save everyone no matter the situation, said Nezu when she finished. When the president looked back at Izuku, she looked scared from all of the power that Izuku has, but she hid well from her poker face that she always has. She turns back to Izuku and tells him that it could be done and welcome him to being a hero. Izuku Pav, it has been a few days since I took that test, and during that time everyone that had watched it were very surprised of what I could do. Many people started to make theories about what my quirk is because they saw me transform, took out a weapon from nowhere and the Zord that I used to fight the robots at the exam. It became a worldwide question now because Japan thought that the rest of the world should see what my quirk could do, and the view count has broken the record of a view video on HeroTube. It was a sunny afternoon that was just chilling watching TV in the living room when the doorbell had rang. I got up from the couch and went to grab my wig to make sure that no one finds out. When I opened the door, it was someone from the government here to drop my license off, and by telling the woman's face she was surprised to see that she did not know which license she was dropping off that day because the license can expire after a few years. When the government official left, I opened up the envelope and saw my hero's license, and to my surprise the president had kept her word. The picture was of me in my black stealth suit, the one that Eraserhead wears, and with all the Power Rangers logos in order on the back of the card. When I was done looking at it, I went to go show my mom, who was in the backyard relaxing because it was her day off. When I went to the backyard and showed her, she had the biggest smile that she had ever given to me and said how proud she was. All might Pav. When I woke up today, I looked over to my calendar and saw it was my day off today, so I thought that I should just be in the backyard and relax by the pool and just to forget about work today. I don't know how long I was back there sleeping, but I woke up a few hours later with Izuku in front of me showing me that he had his hero license. I grabbed his license to take a closer look at it, and I was surprised that the person did keep her word to put all the logo of the Rangers on it. I gave it back to him and give him the most biggest smile I could, and I got up and hug him and tell him how proud I was with him. I had an idea that came to my mind, and I told Izuku what we were going to do today. Hey Izuku, we can go and celebrate today, just me and you, then tomorrow we can go out as heroes and say everyone together as mom and son, but let's try not to tell anyone that, okay? He said he was okay with it, and we both had to go get and change for the day. When we left the house we went out to eat first, but on our way there was an explosion that happened a block away from us. Me and Izuku both looked at each other and ran towards the explosion, and when we got there, to our surprise, there was an enemy from the Power Rangers I believe that Izuku has told me about. When I looked at Izuku and asked him if he knew which ranger was supposed to defeat him, Izuku at me and told me to leave so I can change into my hero form without anyone knowing, and I'm noted back at him and left to power up real quickly. Izuku Pav. When me and mom got to the explosion, I saw who caused it, and to my surprise it was a couple dozen Rinchi and the 5 Fingers of Poison group. When I got close to them, they were arguing about when I was going to show up because they were getting pretty annoyed that there was no one there to fight them and give them a challenge. I was about to step in, but a few of the heroes showed up and started to attack them, but they were getting defeated real quickly, so I decided to jump in and save them. When I jumped in and saved the heroes from the Rinchi, the 5 Fingers of Poison saw me and started to be excited to fight. After so long waiting, I wasted no time and morphed into a Power Rangers Jungle Fury Ranger. I wasted no time to hesitate and started to attack all the Rinchi that was terrorizing the civilians. More heroes showed up and were about to attack the Rinchi, but I told them to stay back and protect the civilians to make sure that none of them got close to the battle get hurt. Some of the heroes were about to argue with me, but until they realized who I was and agreed to what I said. When all of the Rinchi was defeated, it was just the 5 Fingers of Poison left, and they wasted no time and went straight to giant mode to finish me off. I wasted no time summoning the animal spirit of the tiger, cheetah and jaguar to make the jungle pride and Megazord. I started to take down each of the 5 Finger Poison one by one, even though they gave me a hard time, but I managed to pull it off at the end. Once when the 5 Fingers of Poison were defeated, in the distance there was someone watching me defeat them, and that person was no other than Daishi. When I felt like I was being watched in a certain direction, I looked over and saw him standing there on top of the building, then he disappeared without being seen by everyone else. All Might Pav. When Izuku told me to go hide and transform, I did what he told me, but when I turned around to see him in a new ranger and fought with what he called the Rinchi and the 5 fingers of poison. I couldn't transform because I was scared of what they were going to do to him, and when I saw him to feed the Rinchi I was glad that he was able to take them all down, but when I saw all the 5 fingers poisoning turned giant, I transformed into my buff form and was about to attack them, but I saw my son have an aura around him with 3 different colors, red, blue and yellow. I was confused at first, but when I was release the animal inside, I saw a tiger, cheetah and jaguar come flying out with him, turned to his swords that he calls him into a megazord and started fighting each of one of the 5 fingers of poison. When the bow was finished, he turned his back to them as they exploded. When the fight was finished, he jumped out of the Zord and powered down to his normal attire, but right when he did that, the news crew and heroes surrounded him asking for his license. I quickly jumped in and helped him out. When I got there, I told everyone that Izuku was a new hero and he has his license already, and everyone was okay with it because they believed me because I was All Might. Izuku Pav. When my mom showed up and told them what was going on, I went up to her and thanked her because I did not want to deal with them today and get back to having some fun with my mom today. Now I'm wondering, are my enemies of the Rangers are going to start showing up more? Izuku Pav. It has been 3 years now and I am now 18 years old. My life has been going great for me except for one part that had happened during that 3-year time period when I got my license. The things that I have been doing during the 3 years was taking down each and every single Ranger enemy that has been thrown my way. Every time I defeat them, they keep on coming back twice as strong. It didn't matter how many times they got stronger and came at me. I always took care of them, even with some bruising at the end. When I was not taking care of the Rangers' enemies, I went to different places in Japan to help other heroes in need as well, visit different places such as in hospitals and orphanages to help the people that are working there and take care of everyone. Sometimes I go to different areas in Japan to do some community service to give back to the people, like this one area. I was at a different beach and it was full of trash and much worse than the one I clean, and no one wanted to go near it or to clean it because everyone thought I was okay to dump trash there. When I was cleaning the beach, I was in my mythic ranger form. I then started to clean up the mess as well, using spells to help me do it faster while cleaning up the beach. When the beach was all clean, everyone was starting to thank me for doing it because the people that lived in that area tried to clean that place for years and no matter what they did, no one wanted to clean the place up, so they gave up on cleaning it. While cleaning the beach, I had someone that was helping me as well, doing their own training. When the beach was all clean, everyone was starting to thank me for doing it because the people that lived in that area tried to clean that place for years and no matter what they did, no one wanted to clean the place up, so they gave up on cleaning it. During the years, I had one of the toughest battles that was given to me against a Nylok that was the enemy of the Samurai Rangers. Flashback to that day, when I went into the city to buy some groceries because we were almost all out at home. On my way to the store, something caught my eye and it was a bright red puddle that was coming out of the ground, and I decided to go investigate it. When I got close, there was a stick nearby and I grabbed it and put it in the puddle. When I did that, the stick caught on fire and I nearly knew what this puddle was. It was Sanzu River water, and I pulled up my samurai morpher and write the symbol of earth down, which made a bunch of rocks that fell and landed in the puddle, covering it up to make sure no one gets hurt. When I was finished with that puddle, I knew his footprints walking away from the puddle and going into the city, which I knew was something bad was going to happen, and without hesitation I ran forward into the city to try to find the Nylok. When I got there, I saw heroes on the ground and having a hard time getting up. From what I saw were Moogers and a few Spitfangs that had a few hostages with them. But the main thing that I saw was the Nylok in front of me. The Nylok that was in front of me was in a giant pool of the Sanzu River water, rehydrating itself so it would not dry out and go back to be rehydrated. When I got closer, the Nylok had ordered the Moogers to start throwing the hostages in the pool of Sanzu. I morphed into a samurai ranger to take down the Moogers and save the hostages that are rather be thrown in. When I defeated the first Nylok, everyone was surprised to see me, not because I defeated the Nylok, but I was a brand new color that was not red that time. Instead I was bright gold with blue as well, moving very fast that their eyes could not see as I was taking down the Moogers that were holding hostages. Right when the hostages were able to escape, until one of the Moogers that was left was still holding on to 2 people left. I recognized the first one because it was the same person that I saved in the alleyway a while ago, and the other one with someone new to me. Before I started to move over to try to save them, the Nylok gave me a warning and a demand which I'm not like. A few minutes ago, Momo Pav. After watching the person that took the test to see if she or should I say he because I figured out that she was a guy in disguise will pass or not to become a hero. When the test had finished, me and my mom were watching TV with our eyes glued on because we couldn't look away from the TV from the power he has. I was still confused with how he was able to transform with a bracelet, then have a staff pop out of his belt, and finally how he was able to summon a robot dinosaur to make a giant being with ultimate moves to destroy the zero-pointers, which left me stunned. A few days has passed and news has been spinning around with a new hero, and when I went to check who is this new hero, it was the guy who passed and calling himself a Power Ranger, which to me sounded like a good your name, but it wasn't a bad. It's not like he could say Queen Explosion Murder or something. Somewhere else pav. Achoo. Alright, who is talking bad about me? Yelled. Back to Momo. By all the exploring he does when he defeats the villains. I think every time we defeat a villain and when he turn his back there is an explosion, which I think it's cool. A few days have passed now and I'm in the city with my best friend. Jiro was talking about the new ranger hero, who she finds pretty awesome about all the different powers he has. When we were walking by a crosswalk, the crack on the ground beneath our feet started to go red and all the sudden feelings had grabbed us and poured us to a corner of a store with a bunch of others, and it looked like a few other people were captured as well. There are now two more villains that don't look like the rest. One looks like a spider and the other one looks like some type of bird. Me and Jiro were scared. When the rest of the other people were screaming their lungs out. When they were screaming, me and Jiro saw some type of red liquid coming out of the cracks of the ground and started to fill up a big hole, and we don't know what it was. One of the store shelves had clothes piled on it and had fallen into the water, and all of us were on fire, and that is when we all knew that we cannot let that red liquid touch us. When the bird villain had grabbed one of the people that was captured and was about to throw her in, we saw the new ranger hero in front of us. When I saw him, he was holding out a silver phone, and when he opened it a hologram appeared of the word gold on it. I was confused at first why he has until he transformed into a ranger, but instead of the color red that he always wore, it was a brand new color and it was gold with blue on it. He got into a stance and within a second all of the villains around us had fallen and were destroyed. All of us civilians looked back on him confused in awe of this power. He can tell that we were all confused by the looks we gave him. It was probably because of the new outfit he was wearing. When he told us to leave, Jiro and I were about to leave until one of the villains grabbed us. When the ranger saw that he was about to attack, the villain gave him a warning and a choice which I can tell the hero did not like. The choices that were given to him were to come at him and destroy him while we get hurt, or the other option is he powers down and shows his true face and not his disguise. When the spider villain said that, we all heard him say power down, and then we saw the male in his female disguise, but the spider shot blast at him and his female disguise had burned away, leaving him without his wig and his shirt that had got all the women around him to blush and have a bit of nosebleed by looking at him. Izuku pav. When another blasted me, all of my disguise had burned away, which were my shirt and my wig. When that happened, all of the people there watching are blushing and having a nosebleed. The worst part of all was the news reporter. They were recording it all, which made my life even harder now because everyone in Japan can see me now without my disguise, so my life is going to be much harder now. When he saw me, he was laughing and said he was lying. He threw both of the girls into the Sanzu water and I ran to them as fast as I could. Right when I jumped, I saved them from being burned away from the water. The only thing that was burned away was the tall girl's hair, but a small bit. When I saved them both, they were holding on to me saying thank you over and over again. I put them down. I morphed to my samurai mode, and this time I was going to defeat him. Right when I morphed, more Moogers had shown up. As for the Nylok, when I was about to fight them, my hand was glowing gold, and when the glowing stopped, I looked down and saw the black box that the past samurai rangers had used. I was staring at the black box in shock because I've been trying to summon it, but I had gotten the information that I needed. I had to prove myself that I was worthy of it. When I realized how I proved myself was from saving the two girls from falling into the Sanzu River and protecting them. I look back at the Nylok and tell him he's in trouble now as I transform into a super samurai. When I turned super, everyone there was in shock, as well as the camera crew who was recording everything that was at the scene, and had a look at my super samurai look. It has a white cape outfit design. When the fight started, I was taking out the Moogers much easier than I would have had, and right when I got to the Nylok I was so much stronger and faster that when the Nylok had blasted me, I took out his blast with a swing of my sword a couple times. At the end I used my spin sword and took him down once and for all. When he defeated and exploded, I turned around and did a pose which left everyone shocked from what I had just done. When that was over, I went over to the two girls and asked them if they were all right. When I asked them, they both said yes. When I was about to leave, the tall girl asked me a question that she wanted to ask me for a while. So as a kind person I was, I decided to listen to her question. Her question was if I remember her from that alleyway that saved me from, and when she said that, I answered her quickly saying yes, I remember you, and then how I was going to ask you if you were right but you ran away from me. When I said that, she said she was sorry and asked if I could give my number to her, which I was fine with since my whole secret is out now. When I was about to leave, her best friend, I believe, asked me the same question if she could have my number as well, since they both don't really have friends. I gave her my number as well and was about to leave again until a lot of heroes showed up. When I mean a lot of heroes, I mean a lot. I can see the top 10 there besides my mom, and around 40 other heroes there had told me to surrender now and give myself up to the government. When I said no, they started to run at me and started using their quirks wanting to capture me. When I saw what they were doing, I quickly morphed into a different ranger and used the element of earth to help me. Only the yellow ranger. Right when I transformed, I went straight into the earth and left so I couldn't be captured, and I went through the ground all the way up to hide and to get Nezu to help me with my problem I have now. When I got to our office, I saw the president of the Hero Commission there sitting on a chair talking to Nezu. When she saw me, she glared at me and told me to stand down. I was about to say something until Nezu told me that she and the president made a deal with each other. When I asked what was the deal, I was told I was to be put in a breeding program as soon as possible, or to have a harem that won't force you to breed with everyone, just with the people you choose. You want to be in it and won't have the government to force you into anything. When I heard that, I was surprised at what my options were. I knew being in the breeding program was bad because the only thing they do is put you on table and strap you down so you wouldn't escape and be forced to have sex with every girl that wants to. When they told me the harem option, it was just me picking who I want to be with, and I'll be paid if I get someone pregnant, and the government won't force anyone into it, only I have the option to choose who is in or not. After listening to the options, I went with the harem one because I did not want to be strapped down to a table all day long. After I said my answer, I had to sign a document saying that I will agree to the harem option, and right when I signed the document, the president left saying that I was free to go and I should start picking out who I want, or they will pick for me, which will be in a month. Now the real question is, what am I going to do now about this program? Few hours later, Izuku Pav. When I was told by the president that I had to have a harem now, it was going to be a problem because I did not know any girl at all besides the two that I just met, and as well have their numbers. I did not know what to do, so I went to my room and slept on it. I woke up a few hours later around 7 in the afternoon and went to the TV to see what was on. Right when I turned on the TV, every single news channel was going over what had happened, but right when I was about to change the channel, the story of the night was about me, and I put the remote down and continued to watch the news to see what they have to say about me. Newsroom Pav. News lady. Hello and welcome to the nightly news, and to the night subject is about something amazing and wonderful that has happened earlier today. What had happened earlier today was a normal day until villain had showed up taking hostages and threatening them with a red liquid that if a single drop of it burn you alive. From the footage we have, when a few drops had gotten on a few people that gotten third-degree burns from it, and safe to say no one was fully in the red liquid. But on the other hand, the new hero, the Power Ranger, had shown up to save the day with a new style that is not her red suit but a bright gold color one, and from the fight we are going to show you, it might be one of her strongest forms she might have. When she was fighting them, the Ranger had called the villain what were to be appeared to be foot soldiers called Moogers, and the main villains were called Nylok that were in charge of the attack. When the Ranger taken down the Moogers and saved the hostages and defeat one of the Nilcock, all of hostages were able to escape except for two, and they were named Momo Yaoyorozu, the daughter of the Yaoyorozu company, and Kyoka Jiro, her best friend, was captured by a Mooger, and when the Ranger was about to save them, the Nylok had given her a choice to power down and save them or to fight the Nilcock and get the girls hurt. The Ranger chose to power down, but the Nylok had blasted her, and when the smoke had disappeared, standing in her place was a male that took the world by surprise of him having a quirk and being the Power Ranger that was saving everyone. When the Nylok saw what was going on, he threw the girls into the red liquid, which is now named Sanzu River water. The male ran to them and saved them before they were burned alive from the water. When the male turned around and transformed into a new Ranger, it looked like it was connected to the last one by the symbol on his chest. When the male was about to fight the Nylok, his right hand was emitting a bright golden light, and when the light stopped, in his hands was a black box with the same symbol. When the male said Super Samurai mode, out came a white cap and attached itself to the male, now named the Red Samurai Ranger. When the samurai started to fight, he was stronger and faster and taking down the Moogers like nothing, and when he was against the Nylok, he put his hand on the sword and spun a disc that made his sword on fire, which he called a spin sword, and destroyed the Nylok. When he went to the girls to see if they were okay, the top 10 minus All Might was there and 40 other heroes went to capture the male, but before they could do that, the male turned into a new ranger form and went into the ground and disappeared and couldn't be found. There is still a search party, look for him, and there will be an update late on that. All for tonight and goodbye. When I turned off the TV, I was surprised by how much information that they have gotten and shown to everyone in Japan. Now I have to deal with more problems. First, I have to avoid everyone to make sure no one kidnaps me and force me to do things I don't want to do, and the other thing is I have to do a harem, which is going to be hard for me because I don't know anyone besides the 2 girls that I save. I should probably start off with that first, but the thing is I have to meet them in person and ask them, which is going to be the challenging part. Next day, when I got out of bed, I got a notification on my phone from an unknown number. When I looked to see who it was one of the girls I saved from the Nylok yesterday. She asked me if I could come over to her house so her mother could thank me. When I read that, it made my job even easier now, so I don't have to go looking for them, but the hard part is going to be talking to them in person. When I put my phone down, I went downstairs. I saw my mom and Izawa sitting on the couch talking about what had happened, and when they saw me they were a bit mad at what had happened, but they were mad at me. When I went to ask them what was wrong, they started telling me about how I could be reckless, but it wasn't my fault since I was being forced. On the other hand, they were worried about the harem part and that I had to make sense the government is going to be forcing me to. They told me that I would find someone very soon, or the government is going to be forcing girls into it that I don't know. When I told them that I was going to one of the girls' houses that I saved from yesterday and going to talk with them so her mother can thank me. When I said that, my mom told me to go upstairs and change and to come back downstairs because she and Izawa will be coming with me for it'll make sure nothing happens when I'm there. Later, on the right there, Miss Izawa asked me which girl is it going to be, and I told her that it is probably going to be someone named Yaoyorozu or Jiro. When I said that, Izawa told me good luck because the Yaoyorozu family is a rich family and they will do anything they want to get what they want. When I heard that, I became a bit scared because they might force me into dating her daughter, which I don't want, but if I have to go slow first then start dating her. When we got to the gates, we were right inside by the maid and brought us to the living room where Miss Yaoyorozu was there with her daughter as well as Jiro and her mother. Momo Pav. It was the next day, and when I woke up I texted the male if that he could come over to my house so my mother could thank him properly. Right when I was about to put down my phone, my best friend Jiro texted me saying that she was going to ask the male to come to her house so her mommy can thank him. When I saw her text that, I told her to come to my house because he was already on the way. When he got to my house I saw his mom, I believe, and a homeless looking person walked in. I believe that they were protecting him from what was going to happen because knowing my mom, she will bring something up and I don't think I'm going to like it maybe. When my mom started talking to them and thanking him for saving me and my friend, my mother brought up something that made him fletched. Then he looked at me because I know what he's going to say. Izuku Pav. When we were brought inside to the living room I saw both of the girls that I saved yesterday as well as their mothers. When Miss Yaoyorozu started talking, she was grateful that I saved her daughter and her best friend, and she brought up the topic that I was prepared for and wasn't. She figured out that I started a harem and needed girls to join when she offered her daughter. I looked at her and she was looking scared because from all the stories that I read about that they wrote about males was that they were rude and disrespectful, which is not true. I told her my answer and how it was going to work. I don't want to force your daughter into this harem. I want to get to know her first and then let her decide if she wants to join. The same goes for your daughter, Miss Jiro, because I don't like forcing others to do things that I don't want to do, so it's your daughter's choice to join and get to know me better. When I said that, both of the girls looked at their mothers, then talked about it. When they were done they walked up to me and said they would like to join and wanted to do was take things slow. After the meeting my mother told me to stay with them and get to know them better, which I agreed to because I don't know them and wanted to know them better. All 3 of us went upstairs into a bedroom and sat on a bed and got to know each other better. Momo was a kind girl and smart one that is kind and a hard worker and to help with her quirk because she has to know the molecule structure for her quirk to work. As for Jiro, her quirk is your phone jack which makes extension cords for my ears to listen better, and her favorite topic is music. When Jiro said that she likes listening to music and making them, I asked her if she wants to make a song with me because I can play a little bit of instruments. When I said stat, Jiro eyes widened and started smiling because no one ever wanted to do anything with her in music besides Momo. When she said yes, she grabbed my ear and dragged me to a room full of instruments and asked me what I wanted to play. When we were in the room, I opened my phone and texted her the notes that I have been working on for a while now, and it was a good time to play it since I did not have time to make it. When both Momo and Jiro both looked at it, they were wondering what the song is, and Jiro had asked me what it was. So what type of song is it, because by the amount of playing the guitar and singing it looks like it is about your hero career and you have more than one song? Asked Jiro. When she said that, gave her my answer for it. Well, each of those songs are for each team of Rangers that I have that no one has seen except for the 5 teams that everyone's seen on the news. What are each of the Rangers teams that you have shown everyone? Asked Momo. The ones that everyone has seen are Mighty Morphin, Dino Thunder, Jungle Fury, and Samurai and Ninja Storm, the one that I had escaped the heroes. They are the ones that everyone has seen so far, and it is out of 22 teams I have, you only have seen 5 of them. Every time I turn into a new Ranger, I am going to release a new song about the Ranger teams and to make it their own theme song if you put it in a way of how each one is different in their own way. Now that I am done explaining, let's make 5 of the Ranger theme songs, shall we? When I said that, both Jiro and Momo had fire in their eyes and were happy that they get to make a song about the Ranger teams. Few hours later, after a few hours had passed, we were all done with the 5 songs, and by the look of it, it was getting dark out. When the songs were finished, I put them all together and gave them a title of the Ranger team that they were on. I looked to see that I had a notification from my mom saying that I could stay the night at her house since it was a bit late for her to come pick me up. When I told Momo that, she was red in the face and took me to a spare room and told me that she would see me in the morning. When she left, I went back to the music room to post the songs on my channel for everyone to listen to. When he was posted, I went back to the room Momo showed me and went to sleep and got ready for the next day. It was the next day, and when I saw another vacation on my phone, I looked at it and saw all 4 of the songs and almost 5 billion views within the time frame from posting it to waking up. If they like the songs, I should make more appearances as different Rangers so people can listen to their theme song. I'll make the rest ahead of time and post them later after I turn into that Ranger. Izuku Pav. When seeing that all 5 songs were that popular, it gave me the idea to use more of the Rangers teams so people can enjoy their songs. When I put my phone down, I saw my bag with the extra clothing that my mom had bought yesterday. When I was done changing, I walked around Momo house to try and to find the kitchen to make me some food since it was around 8 in the morning. When walking around the house, it took me a while to find the kitchen from how big the house is. When I found the kitchen, I saw Jiro going through the pantry and Momo getting food to make breakfast right now. When I was about to walk in, the girls started talking about me, so I stayed out of sight and listened. So Jiro, what do you think about Izuku last night? You know, from him being a male, and when we were told that they were rude and not to be trusted with, and he was not what we were told, he was actually the opposite. Momo said, yeah, I know, right? It still kind of surprised me that the person that saved you was Izuku. Seriously, how did you find out that he was the Power Ranger that saved you from when you were being attacked in the alleyway? Jiro said, when I heard her say that, I was surprised that Momo knew that it was me but didn't really know it was me until I was showing off what that Mogre had done to me in public. I have to give it to her of how she quickly realized that I was a guy from the small detail that was given out, or when she had seen enough away. When I heard enough, I walked around the corner to greet them, and when they saw me, they were surprised when they saw me walking around the corner. When they asked me if I heard anything they were talking about, I replied saying that I did hear everything. When I said that, both of their faces had gone bright red from embarrassment that they are having right now. So Momo, how did you know that it was me under the disguise, or how did you figure it out? Because of what Jiro had said, is that you knew it was me the whole time when you saw me on camera. When I asked that, I saw her look down from embarrassment and started playing with her hair. Well, the reason how I figured it out was because of your eyes. The day that you saved me in the alleyway I didn't get to see that much, but I saw your eyes glowing bright in the dark, which helped me calm down from what was going on. The day when the reporters were outside of UA I saw you in disguise. I could tell because of your bright green eyes as well as the first ranger form that you use. Momo had told me. When she had that I just stared at her blankly because I had nothing to say from what I just heard. I decided to change a topic and ask them what they're making for breakfast, and when I asked that, they both had no clue how to make anything because the chiefs are not in today because it was their day off, so they were just getting food out and started making something so they can eat in the morning. When I heard that, I decided to offer them to make breakfast for all three of us. When I said that, they both agreed to it, that I should make it and to see if it's better than her family chiefs. 30 minutes later, when I finished making breakfast, I saw the two girls looking at me surprised that I can prepare food, and by the look of their faces I can tell that they were going to enjoy the food by the drool coming out of her mouth. When placed them down on the table, they were surprised by how it looked. When they were just staring at it, I told him that it was an American-style breakfast and it's much better than eating rice and fish for breakfast every day. When I said that, they both looked at me confused and started to eat. When they took their first bite, they were crying in tears of joy of how good the food was, which was kind of funny to see. When they were done eating, I asked him if they wanted to hang out a bit more. When I said that, Momo immediately jumped onto her feet and yelled out, "It's a date," and grabbed Jiro and dragged her upstairs. When that happened, I was left confused and wondering what just happened, but at least I can get the asking out on a date part all the way. When they went upstairs, I went to the room and waited on the couch for those to come back downstairs. 20 minutes later. It has been at least 20 minutes now, and right when I was about to go see what they were up to, I saw them both walk up to me. When I saw them come downstairs, I was speechless by how they looked. "You two look lovely today and a nice choice for today's outfit." When I said that, both of their faces went right and they asked me what we were doing today. When they said that, I told him that we are just going to go around the mall and go shopping, then go eat somewhere. When I said we're going shopping, both of them have the biggest smiles because I can tell that they are big for some type of thongs. For Jiro it's probably for music, and for Momo it's probably some hero stuff because of how much she loves to talk about different types of heroes. Time skip. Izuku Pav. When we made it to the mall, both Momo and Jiro started to drag me all over the place from different types of clothing stores and regular stores as well. When walking around, everyone at the mall was staring at the three of us. Mostly me because I went without the disguise because I was told not to wear it again. When we were almost about to leave, Jiro brought us to the music store to see what they have and to try some of the instruments out. When we were looking, I found a guitar that I like and it looked nice. When the three of us were about to leave, the store had started a contest to see who was the best guitar player of all time. When she announced it throughout the whole mall, a lot of people came to the music store to be in the contest. When we three heard that, Jiro immediately went to sign up, but what I didn't know is that she had signed me up as well. The contest was halfway done when it was Jiro's turn. When she was about to go up, she asked me if she could use one of my songs that I worked on when we were at the house last night. I thought about it and told her that she can only play it if she can remember how the song goes. When I said that, she thanked me and went on stage to play the song that I was working on. When she got on stage and looked at the crowd, she was frozen and having started to get nervous. When she looked at me, I made a gesture to breathe and calm down. When I did that, she calmed down and started to play the song. When she had finished, I was surprised at how she remembered the whole song that I made yesterday, and everyone else's reaction there at the contest was surprise and saying that she was going to win. When Jiro got off the stage, she ran toward us, happy that she got rid of her fear to perform in a crowd. When me and Momo told her she did great, and I congested her on playing the song right on the first try. When I said that, Jiro told me she was practicing it in her room last night when we went to bed. When I heard that, I had nothing to say, but before I could say anything, the store owner called the next person to play, and it was me. When I heard that, Jiro looked away and said that she put me on the list. When I was called up again, I went up on stage, and when I was on stage, everyone's reaction was surprised to see the male that was in the news a few days ago. Some of the women demanded that I come off the stage so I could be with them, and some others wanted to see me make a fool of myself. When I heard that, I got mad and was about to yell at them, but the store owner came to my side and told everyone to stop telling me what to do, and then the owner told me to play whatever I want and will be judged far like everyone here. When she said that, I calmed down and grabbed the guitar. When I was about to play I could hear people in the crowd making bets that I was not going to be bad, and I only heard one person say that I would be good. When I heard that I gave her a good smile and she blushed and told everyone in the crowd of how they are going to be wrong. I was thinking of a song, then I heard the girl that said I would good taking to the people around her. I saw her shirt had different plants on them, and that gave me an idea for the song to decide to play, and it's a Ranger song that not out yet. When I started playing I could see everyone there with dinner plates eyes of how good that I was playing, and everyone started to hand all the money to the single girl who was betting for me to play good. When the song finished I looked at the crowd and saw some of them were speechless and some with video cameras to record the whole thing. When I got off the stage everyone was cheering me on, saying that it was the best thing that they had ever heard. Time skip. When the contest had finished the judges had the final score, and the top 3 was a girl with a quirk that lets her play instruments at a professional level. When she heard that she was surprised at first but just expected it. Second place was Jiro and first place was me. When we both heard that Momo was happy for us, the store owner came to us and told me what my prize was. The prize was to pick any instrument in the store and get it for free. When she said that, I showed the owner the guitar that I liked from early and got a case for it as well. When I got my guitar and walked back to Momo and Jiro to go home. When we were about to leave the mall a few villains had shown up and captured most of the mall and the civilians in the area. When the heroes had shown up to defeat the villains. When the villains saw what was happening they had told the heroes not to move or else. When the villains had a few people in their hands and treated the heroes to move they would kill them. When I saw what was happening I brought out my morpher to deal with them. When I was about to morpher I started to glow, and when the glowing had stopped I had received all the SPD Rangers powers that they were born with. When I found out I had that I told both Momo and Jiro to hide and I'll deal with the villain they were about to eject, but I told them that everything will be fine. When they went to hide but still saw me where they were at. When they left I went to the villains. I saw the news people recording what was going on. When I came out the heroes saw me and yelled at me to get away, and when the villains saw me they started to laugh and saying what a good day for finding a prisoner. When they were laughing I told them to give up or else, but they only laughed harder, and with that I told them they had their chance. When a few of the villains started to come to me I multiplied myself so there were 5 of me. When I did that everyone there had all stopped from what had just happened, and me and my clones pulled out the SPD morpher and turned into the 5 Rangers. SPD emergency. When I morphed everyone was surprised by what I had done. Some of the people knew that I was the Ranger and some did not, but what really cut them off guard was that I cloned myself and how me and the other clones had morphed into Rangers as well. When the villains were out of their shock they started to run at me and started to use their quirks on me. When they started fighting the villains it was easier to handle them with a team than by myself. When that was all going down the news crew was having it live for the country now. When fighting the villains they were having a hard time with my clones since each one was a Power Ranger with their own abilities. I am the Red Ranger right now and his power is to pass through any solid objects. The first clone is the Blue Ranger is able to create force fields. Clone 2 is the Green Ranger has psychic sense. The 3 clone the Yellow Ranger is able to multiply, and the 4 clone the Pink Ranger has Fist of Iron. When facing the villains they were taken down easily, and when the civilians were let go and the villains were captured. The heroes came over to me and said thank you and asked me to join their agency or to go out with them. Before I could say anything a big explosion came out of nowhere and out came a monster that the Rangers had faced. With no time to lose me and my clones had taken down the monster quickly to make sure that it did not hurt anyone. When it was defeated I called on the Zords to help me in battle. When it was all over I demorphed and called of the clones and walked back to Momo and Jiro who was still holding my guitar. When I got to them they were happy to see me that I was okay and wanted me to explain when we get back to the house. 2 years later. Izuku Pav. 2 years had passed since the contest at the music store and now Momo, Jiro, and I had all turned 17 and we had 1 year left till we can go to UA. I am a hero after all, but I still have to go to school and I wanted to make new friends that I can call family at time during my time there. During the 2 years I got new powers and forms from the past Ranger to help me out during those battles, and plus my hero rank had gone up from the last 2 years. I became the number 6th hero in Japan. During those years the Rangers' enemies started to come out more to cause chaos around Japan. Little did I know that they went to different countries to do the same. when I heard that I had my watch teleport me to the other countries to defeat the ranger enemies. In case you forgot, every time I go to a new country and defeat the monster, my popularity starts to grow more and more when I don't even realize it at all. When Momo and Jiro were at my house, since I started dating them 2 years ago, they saw a red letter in my mail. When she handed the letter to me, I opened it up and started to read it. When going over the letter, I stopped reading it and dropped it without knowing it because I was too shocked by what it had said. When Momo saw what had happened, she picked the letter and started to read it aloud because Jiro and my family was in the living room. Congratulations, you have been invited to come to the World Hero Pick to be placed within the top 10 All Might and the Power Ranger, said Momo. When she finished reading the letter, everyone in the room was shocked because it is really hard to be on the list of the world top 10 heroes, and my mom had been on the list for a few years now. Time skipped to World Hero Placement. When we got to the World Hero Placement this year, it was held in Japan for the year since the last time it was in the UK. Every 5 years it's held in different countries to make it far so it won't stay in one country the whole time. So right when we were about to enter, we had to stop at the gate by the guards because they told us that it was an invite only. When we showed them the invite, they looked at us and went straight to a 90-degree angle and apologized. I told them that they were fine since they were only doing their job. The invite said that I could bring at least 10 people with me since I was on the podium for whatever place I am in. The people that I brought were of course Momo, Jiro, and the rest were the UA teachers that taught me throughout my life. The main ones that came with were Miss Aizawa, President Mike, Midnight, Smintos, Ectoplasm, Snipe. For my mom, since she is All Might and getting her spot on the podium as well, she brought Nezu, both of my grandmas, that is Gran Torino and Recovery Girl, Miss Night Eye, Hound Dog, Vlad King, Power Loader, and 13. All of us went to our table and talked for a while until the lights went out, until the president of the Hero Commission came forward and started her speech on how the world is today and other things, until it was time for the placements for the top 10 heroes of the world. When the president called the first hero to stand for the 10th spot as they went up, and she calling them up until she was in the top 3. Everyone in the audience was quiet and Aizawa was happy for the silence for a small bit. When the president had called the hero for 3rd place, it was the American #1 hero Stars and Stripes. When the 3rd place was announced, it was time for the main event to see who will get the #1 spot between the 5 heroes that are left, which include me, my mom, and 3 other heroes. When the president opened the golden card with for the #1 spot, she stopped to read it over, and when she stopped reading it, she had a smile and had started to announce as the winner. Now time for the #1 and #2 hero of the world is the Power Ranger as our #1 and All Might as out #2. When I heard that I had won, my mother was in her buff form and had picked me up and carried me to the 1st place stop while she went to the 2nd place on the podium since she came in 2nd. Right when I was on stage, I had gotten out of my shock of what had just happened. The president had started to tell everyone why I was given the #1 hero of the world because of my battles I had fought to protect the earth from evil and was the only one capable of doing it. When she said that, everyone there from a different country started to agree with the president because when they fought the Rangers' enemies, they had a hard time defeating them with all their might. Some of the battles the heroes had fought were life-threatening since some of the heroes died trying to defeat them until Izuku came to the rescue and helped the heroes out and defeated the heroes easily with his Rangers forms with his clone team of Rangers for help. When the president had finished what she was saying, she started a videos that was recorded from the people that are over the world. The videos were battles that I had done, even showing the different Rangers teams morphs, some battles as well Megazord's fights. When the videos of his fights were over, everyone there was shocked and surprised that he has to fight armies by himself but always get the job done and understand why he is the now #1 hero of the world. When the videos were over, Izuku had a headache because he still remembers all the fights that he did without hours of rest, but he was glad he had his clone power to help him with the battle. While that was going on, Izuku was thinking on something else. I wonder when I will start showing the 6th Rangers more, since everyone in Japan knows about Gold Samurai Ranger. He was brought out of his thinking when they were able to leave the party and go home. A week later. It has been a week since I was announced #1 hero of the world, and it has been really challenging because I cannot get a break from all the fans that I am receiving. I am fine with the fans, but I just want some time to myself. As the week went on, a bunch of different companies started to come to me and ask me if I wanted to make merchandising for everyone to have. When I decline all of them because of a reason why they left. The reason why I declined all the companies that came to me to make merchandising for everyone was because I already have a company making them in secret. The company that is making the merchandising is the Yaoyorozu company, which Mobile Mall had agreed to it, and me and her mom has the license to make the merchandising for one of my Rangers forms with the morphers, weapons, Zords as toys for kids to play with or for adults to collect them, and with clothing to sell in stores. When everything was complete, Momo's mom and I decided that I will announce the merchandising at the next Heroes meet and greet that is in a few days. On my way home from a meeting with Momo's mom about the merchandise, an explosion had happened downtown away from my current position. So using my super speed from the power of the Red Ranger from Dino Thunder, I made my way downtown, and what I saw was a big crowd in front of alleyway where a slime villain had captured a civilian and used her as a shield from the hero. Before I did anything, I saw my mom in her small form standing in the crowd not doing anything and holding onto her damaged side. When I saw what was happening, I used the powers of the Black Dino Thunder Ranger to turn invisible, then used the power of the Green Time Force Ranger to read her mind. But before that I saw someone in the crowd that stood out. It was a girl that looked like me without the disguise. I started hearing her mind as well as my mom, but before I could finish listening to the girl's mind, I saw her running straight towards the slime villain. I saw her throw her backpack right into the villain's eyes that had released her hold on the hostage so she was able to breathe. I could hear what they were talking about, but it looks like the one that was the hostage telling her that she didn't help. When I saw the slime getting her bearings and about to attack the girl, I was about to become visible again and save them, but my mom beat me to it and defeated the villain while telling the girl how she wasn't listening to her own advice. When it was over, the heroes, they were scolding the girl for trying to save her friend while they were praising the one who had the explosion quirk for no reason and telling her to join their agency later on when she becomes a hero. After that I saw my mom left in a hurry because of her time limit, and I can still hear her talking in her mind saying that she needs to find that young girl that ran to try and save her friend. I was curious, so I decided to follow my mom while still being invisible. After 5 minutes I found my mom behind a corner of a building waiting for the girl to come by because she is around the corner. All might pav. When I finally got away from the Medi, I went to every street and every block trying to find that young girl. The sun was setting when I was about to give up and maybe ask if Izuku could help me find her until I saw her walking down the street. I went behind a corner and started to go over how my day went. Flashback. It was early in the day that I went out to explore the city because it was my day off. When I made it into the city, it was nice and quiet in the biggest part of the city. When it hit around noon, I came out of a store with some of my favorite snacks when I heard screaming. When I looked where the screaming came from, it came from the people across the street with a slime villain with money she stole from the bank. I buffed up when no one was looking and started to chase the villain everywhere and even the sewers. It had gone for around 3 hours and I had finally caught up to the villain, and using a move to make the villain splatter, I saw a girl in the middle of the street in the center of the mess. I collected sludge and put her in the bottle that I had from shopping earlier. I was about to see if the young girl was okay, and I could see she was still breathing, and that was a good sign. I saw what looked to be a notebook with the title "To Become a Hero 13. When I opened the notebook, I was surprised by the amount of detail she had in the book. It's like when Izuku does when he write down notes on other people's quirks. It looks like they both have the same hobbies. When looking at it more, she even had the new hero that came out, Toto, and it was Mount Lady. When I finished looking through her book, I gave a signature in 2 pages and started to wake her up. When I left her, I saw she was on my leg, and then I decided to go on a building to let her explain herself. After she explained why she did it in her dream. When I was about to answer her, but when I got a good look at her, she looked like Izuku, a lot like they could be twins or siblings. I should ask her later about that. I gave her my answer and her face had dropped her smile from what I said, but before I could finish she left the building running. Before I could do anything, there was a big explosion that had happened. When I got there, I saw the slime villain had gotten a new victim and I couldn't do anything at all because my time ran out. When I looked back up, I saw the girl that left me without me finish what I said. She ran to her friend and said things that made me past my time and it had expired me to get me to save them. Time skip end. When the girl was about to turn, I went in front of her and told her she was a true hero and told her that I was not done talking when we were on the roof of the building. When I finished, I told her that she deserved my quirk. When I finished telling her, she said yes. When I asked her what her name was, She told me that it was Izumi Midoriya. When she said her name we both got startled by laughter by telling us that they should have said that we should go to a more private area about OFA. When I saw who said that I saw Izuku come visible. I was about to say something but Izumi beat me to it. OMG, you are the only male hero, the Power Ranger with lots of power, suits, weapons, Zords, and with mutter, said Izumi, who was still mumbling about Izuku. I went up to her and stopped her and she gave Izuku a weird look saying how much she looks like her while Izuku said the same thing. I had an idea and put them both next to each other and I got my phone out and took a photo of the two and showed them it. I decided that it was getting late and told Izumi to meet me at the beach in the morning to start training her to receive the power. The next morning, Izumi Pav, I'm on my way to the training ground that All Might had told me to go to, and when I got there it was the beach that was covered in trash. When I arrived at the beach I saw All Might and Izuku sitting at a bench waiting for me to get there. When I get close to them they noticed me and told me that I was early, which they were fine with since Izuku had arrived a minute before. When Izuku came up to me and told me that I was 30 minutes early. He had smiled and he had told me something that will impact my life as a hero and as a leader later when I make it to UA after the exams. The thing Izuku had told me was that if you're early you're on time, if you're on time you're late, and finally if you're late you fail. When he finished saying that I looked at you while he smiled at my confused face. The reason why he told me that being a hero means being alert at all times, and when you are not alerted things will by you don't know if one time. I asked him for an example of some sort and his example was saving someone from their own self or helping the community, which is a big help to everyone else to be safe. When he finished I looked at him like he had grown a second head, but he just smiled and pointed in a certain direction, and when I looked in that direction it was the beach covering trash. After staring at the beach for a few more seconds I finally understand what he meant by being early is on time, being on time is late, and finally late is you fail. I looked back at Izuku and smiled, told him that I understand, and start going to the beach and started cleaning it up. When cleaning up the beach I saw All Might and Izuku walked up to me and told me to follow them. I followed them for a few moments until all three of us stopped in front of a fridge. Izuku had some rope and told me that I had to pull this refrigerator to the dumpster on top of the beach, which was just going to be hard, but that did not stop me from cleaning up the beach. When pulling the fridge it started to get much heavier. I looked behind me and saw All Might in her buff form and Izuku sitting on top of the fridge. When I asked them why they were on top of the fridge, Izuku said that it was a nice view sitting on top of it. When trying to pull the fridge I slip and All Might starts laughing and saying that I am not a proper vessel for her power yet. I started to cry because she told me that I was worthy of her power until Izuku told me that my body was not ready for it yet. When they both explain why I need a proper body or else I would explode with that much power. At the end I started to get back to work. A few hours later, it was now 6 p.m. and I was told that I could go home, but before I left, I had cut myself bad on a piece of metal that was sticking out of the ground. When Izuku saw what had happened he got a rage out of his bag and stopped the blood from flowing out and started to clean and wrap up the cut so it can heal. When Izuku was done he told me to be careful next time and then I left to go home. When I made it home, it was already dark outside. When I went in the house no one was home, so I decided to take a shower to get the blood, sweat, and smell off. When I finished the shower and got dressed I saw my mom in the living room watching the news about had happened today. It was nice seeing her not stress eating anymore and lost all of that weight she had before, because when she went to the hospital 2.5 years ago to check her health when she was not feeling herself. When she got her results back it said that she might get cancer if she kept up her eating, and all of the stress she has built up is not good for her. So during the 2.5 years she stopped stress eating and went to the gym and tried to get back her body she had before I was diagnosed as quirkless, which worked out well. When she saw me she smiled and asked how the training went. I said that it went well and looked at the clock and it said it was 8 p.m. and dinner was ready. When we went to the dinner table I showed her what I needed to eat for 10 months and her face was shocked at first and smiled, and she said had decided to eat the same since she is still working out in her free time. When we had finished eating I asked her to come to the living room so I could ask her a question about something. When we were in the living room my mom was confused at first but decided to let me ask the question first then answer. No one Pav. So what did you want to talk about, Izumi? Asked Inko. Do we have other family members out there? Asked Izumi. When Izumi asked that question, Inko's face had changed from a worried to a saddened and scared face when Izumi had asked that. New location UA, Izuku POV. When walking through the halls of UA up to Recovery Girl's office to hand her something to make sure that my theory is correct or not, but I have to wait and find out. When I made it to Recovery Girl's office, she had asked me what was wrong and I told her that everything is fine, but I needed her to check something, and when she asked what that she need to check, I gave her a rag with blood on it and asked her to do a DNA check with the blood on the rag and with mine to see if it matches or not. Recovery Girl was confused at first but did it anyway since no one was at the school since it was a Saturday's night. When an hour had passed, she came back in with a file in her hands with a surprised face. When she gave it to me and when I looked through it, I saw what I was looking for and stared at it for a while. When I was done with it, I said thank you to her and left to go home to sleep on it. The next day. Waking up the next day did not feel right, so I decided to stay home and work on my music that I need to complete and share, since I have not recorded or posted anything since the mall incident 2 years ago when I won the contest. I went to my own recording studio to make the songs. I was in the studio for a few hours making the Rangers team theme songs, since the first 5 already have over 100 million views each. When the songs were ready, I click on post and nap for a while. Hours later, when I had woken up, I saw that I had a few missed calls from my mom saying that if I'm okay or not. I texted back telling her that I was fine. When I put my phone down, my phone started to ring, and when I saw who was calling me was Momo's mother. When I answered it, she told me that I was going to be late for the meet and greet, which was today. When I heard what she said, I completely forgot about it and told her that I was having a bad day and that I was on the way since it was in 2 hours away, and I quickly got a shower and changed for the day. When I finished getting ready, it was almost 3 and it started at 4:30 p.m. I teleported to where the meet and greet was and saw Momo and Jiro in my area for the greet. When they saw me, they told me to get ready because there was a long line of kids outside with their parents to meet me and other heroes that were here as well. When the meet and greet was open, I could see all of the kids pulling on their parents' arms to see every hero here. When the first kid came to me, she looked so happy and said how she is meeting the Power Ranger. When she said that, almost every kid there came to me. I can see kids from different age groups from 4 to middle schoolers around me. When one of the kids was in front of me, she asked what was behind the curtain. I told her that it was going to be a surprise and they all had to wait until everything was ready. When an hour had passed, more and more people came, and that is when I decided it was time to open the curtain up. When I got up on stage and announced something, a few kids saw me and told everyone, and that made my job easier. I told them that the curtain was being raised to see their reactions. When everyone saw what was behind the curtain, it was a lot of merchandise of Power Rangers, from toys of my morphers, weapons, and Zords. There were action figures of the full Ranger teams that had been seen trying to defeat the villains that began showing up more. There were costumes in different sizes as well. Only things are there was shown in the story so far. When everyone saw the items, they all got in line to get the merchandise to collect and play with. It was fun seeing everyone have fun, but little did they know that there was a raffle as well. When they bought something, they were given a ticket. They only give out 1 ticket to a person when they buy something. I saw Momo and Jiro with a ticket because they got a red Samurai Ranger shirt and had it on because it reminded them of how we meet each other. I even saw some students from UA there, as well as Principal Nezu and the teachers with a ticket. When the announcement came on telling that whoever had a Ranger ticket came back to the Ranger area to compete in the raffle to win a prize. In front of me were 3 prizes with a trap covering them. When I told everyone how it was going to work was by the number you have on the ticket you had won, but you have to compete with the 3 who have won as well. When I could see that everyone in the crowd nodded their heads, I started to call the 3 winners up. When I finished calling the number, 3 people came on stage and asked them what 2 their names were, but I knew them anyway since I knew them, but the last one was new to me. The first one to come up was Najire Hado, a second year at UA. The next one to come up said her name was Suyu Asui. And the last one was Izumi Midoriya. When they had told their names to the crowd, I told them that the game was to say the right words with the right morphers that I give them. The round went by fast, but Asui said the wrong words, so she got 3rd place, and I told her to stand next to the one with 3rd on it. Next it was 1 question answered, and it was what did I morph into first. Both girls had to think hard because that video of my first morph was taken down after a few hours because some government thought it was breaking the law of something, so it was deleted. I gave them both a warning that their time was almost up, and right when the clock hit 0. Izumi had said Mighty Morphin, which was correct. So I place Izumi in first and Najir in second. When I told them to remove the tarp, all three of them were surprised by what were under them. Asui got a golden Mighty Morphin morpher with all the coins with them, even the green dragon and white tiger coin. When she saw the coins, I put a finger to my lips and told her to not say anything. Najire got the Mighty Morphin golden dragon dagger, and by her face was confused as well. Izumi got a golden dragon Zord, a green ranger helmet, with the golden morpher and dagger. When she looked at them and gave me a confused look, so did everyone else in the crowd, and I told them what the prizes were for. The prizes the winner got is Ultimate Edition Ranger merchandise that will be never sold anywhere and only able to get them at meet and greets. When I said that, everyone had wide eyes because of what I said, and a little girl had asked me what the merchandise of the Ultimate Edition would go to. When she said that, I said it goes to any of the 6 rangers, and told them that the 6th ranger is the strongest ranger on the team until the other rangers get their power-ups. They were all surprised and asked me if I could show them the ranger then. I smile and told them to stand back, then I morph into the Green Ranger. When I turn into the Green Ranger, everyone now understands why they won something that is going to be hard to get. Hours later, the meet and greet had come to an end and everyone had got the chance to meet me. When Izumi came over to me, I had to hide my emotion in front of her from what I had found out yesterday. When she came over, she hugged me and said thank you over and over again because she has something that she will never get it taken because of what I did with the winnings. When they won, I asked them if they wanted me to hand deliver them to where they live, and they said yes. I have to deliver them tomorrow at their houses and sign them as well to make the price go up even more. When Izumi stopped hugging me, I asked her how the beach cleaning was going, and Izumi said that she had the day off since it was her day to relax and the beach was coming in nicely. When the day was over, I went home and sang a song that was nothing ranger related but something to get my mind off of Izumi. Hello, hello, I'm not where I'm supposed to be. I hope that you're missing me. 'Cause it makes me feel young. Hello, hello, last time that I saw your face was recess in 2nd grade. And it made me feel young. Won't you help me sober up? Growing up it made me numb. And I wanna feel something again. Won't you help me sober up? All the big kids, they got drunk. And I wanna feel something again. Won't you help me feel something again? How's it go again? Goodbye, goodbye, I said to my bestest buds. We said that we'd keep in touch. And we did our best. All my new friends. We smile at party time. But soon we forgot to smile at anything else. Won't you help me sober up? Growing up it made me numb. And I wanna feel something again. Won't you help me sober up? All the big kids, they got drunk. And I wanna feel something again. Won't you help me feel something again? How's it go again? How's it go again? My favorite color is you. You're vibrating out my frequency. My favorite color is you. You keep me young, and that's how I wanna be. My favorite color is you. You're vibrating out my frequency. My favorite color is you. You keep me young, and that's how I wanna be. Hello, hello, I'm not where I'm supposed to be. I hope that you're missing me. 'Cause it makes me feel young. Hello, hello, last time that I saw your face was recess in 2nd grade. And it made me feel young. And I wanna feel something again. I just wanna feel something again. How's it go again? Won't you help me sober up? Growing up it made me numb. And I want to feel something again. My favorite color is you. Won't you help me sober up? All the big kids, they got drunk. And I wanna feel something again. My favorite color is you. Won't you help me feel something again? My favorite color is you. Can I finally feel something again? How's it go again? When I finished the song, I couldn't get that information out of my head. Izumi is my little sister. Time skip end of the 10 months. Izuku Pav. When the final day had hit for the 10 mounts of Izumi training had ended, I was walking right next to my mom, asking her how the training went since I was busy with ranger enemies at the time. As we were getting close to the beach, we both stopped and heard screaming from the top of a trash pile. When she had finished screaming, my mom looked at the beach surprised, and when she looked back at Izumi, she was about to fall and quickly caught her before she hit the ground. Start at 150. I made my way over to them to hear my mom telling Izumi that it was time to receive the quirk, which I did not want to miss. When Izumi saw what she had to do to get the quirk, her face was priceless because she had to eat All Might's hair to get it. When Izumi ate the hair, I started to walk down to where they were. When my mom saw me, she smiled and waved, but when Izumi saw me, she looked sad for an unknown reason. When I asked her what was wrong, she told me that she still wonders if she really deserves the quirk. I saw tears coming off of her face, and all of a sudden my body moved on its own and started hugging Izumi, and that started calming her down. While hugging, she started to snuggle on me, which I was fine with since she is my little sister after all, but the main thing is, how am I going to tell her that? When we broke the hug, I looked at the time on my phone and there was 4 hours left until the UA exams started. When Izumi heard what I said, she let go of me and started to run home to get ready for the exams for the hero course. Izumi pav. When I made it home, I quickly took a shower and got dressed and ate breakfast with my mom. While eating, I still remember what my mom told me a few months ago. Flashback a few months ago. When I asked my mom if we had any other family around, I saw my mom's face change a couple of times, like she was regretting something. When I asked her what was wrong, she started to cry and tell me that she did something wrong and regretted it, and it had been a pain in her heart. When I asked her what was wrong, she had told me that I had an older sibling that she gave away when they were only a few weeks old. When she started, she told me that when she was younger she got pregnant by accident when she was drunk with her friends. When the 9 months were over, she gave birth to a little baby boy, which had scared her if the government had found out, so she did the best thing was go home and get supplies. When she got the supplies, she brought him to an alleyway and left a letter saying why she couldn't take care of him and left, but before she left she named him Izuku. 2 years later she got pregnant again with me this time, and she started to regret what she did over the years until Izuku made an appearance as a ranger saving the 2 girls on live TV. When she finished her story, I started to cry knowing that I have a big brother and he is the Power Ranger who is super nice to me. Weeks later, after coming home from the meet and greet, I saw my mom on the couch just staring at the TV with the news showing all of Izuku's battles that he had done as a hero. When my mom asked me how it went, I told her that I won a prize and that Izuku will be hand delivering it here. When I said that, she looked at me so fast and tackled me, saw what I said was true and should be here tomorrow. When the next day came around noon, Izuku came into the house and placed the thing that I won on the table. Before he left, my mom asked him if he would like to stay for lunch. Izuku saw that he would like to. When they ate lunch and got to know Izuku more and that he was adopted and the crazy adventure he has done over the years. When Izuku left, my mom collapsed on the floor smiling that she got to meet her son even though he probably didn't know it yet. Flashback end. When making my way to the gates of Ua, I stop and look at them in all of their glory from how many heroes had come from here. When walking past the gate, all of a sudden I tripped and fell from a loose stone on the ground. When I opened my eyes and noticed that I did not hit the ground and I was floating in midair. When I was questioning what was going on, I heard a voice to my left. "Sorry that I used my quirk on you. I thought that falling was a sign of bad luck," said. When she said that, she stopped her quirk on me and left to go into the building to take the test. When she left my sight, I stayed in place for a few seconds more, then decided to go in. Time skip. After listening to what President Mike had said to us, we all went to each test site for our own test area. When the test had started, I was the last one in, and when I made it to the center of the test area, there was a dead robot everywhere, and all of a sudden it was the 2-minute warning. No one pav. As we go to a different location where all of the UA staff and Izuku are watching everyone to see how they do in each test site. We have a good crop of students this year, and clearly they have no idea how many villains there are at their location with the small amount of time they have. Some of them have quirks that help them locate the villains, some with speed type quirks, and the ones with a combat quirk to make it easier to help them in fights. Nezu said, "By looking at them they have a good chance at being here and do good on the field when they get their legions," said Midnight. "Now the real test is about to begin to see who is really meant to be here if they can pass this test to call themselves heroes," said Aizawa, with Izuku agreeing. As we can see Snipe pressing the button to release the 0-pointer while Mike went to announce that there are 2 minutes left. Izumi pav. When hearing that I was about to run to gain points, then all of a sudden the 0-pointer had came out. When I was about to run away I heard a cry for help, and looking back it was the one that saved me from this morning from falling, and without thinking I jump at the 0-pointer and punch it as hard as I can, and it made a dent in it until it fell backwards and exploded, and I started to free fall and save myself until I started to float because the girl I meet saved me. When I was on the ground again I started to struggle to move, then everything went black. Izuku Pav. When the test had finished Izumi had passed out from all the pain she was feeling from the broken arm and legs she had. Making my way down to go get her and bring her to Recover Girl's office so she can rest well. When I made it down to the test site I saw Recovery Girl had just finished healing Izumi. When I was close enough everyone started to whisper from just seeing me. When I was about to start talking to Recovery Girl an explosion had gone off, and it was not a robot from the test. It was the foot soldiers Cogs as well, one of the generals. When the test takers were caught by Cogs and were held captive by them. Wasting no time I got my clones out and morphed into the ZEO Ranger team as well, the 6th Ranger. When all of the Cogs were defeated all that was left was Staroid, and fighting him was a challenge from his defense move of making himself into a ball that he can attack us in. When we finally finish him he turned into his giant mode, and it was time to call the ZEO Zords into battle for the first time. Izuku Pav. When finishing off Staroid it felt like I was being watched by someone, and it was not the UA exam students that were still here. No, it was someone else with evil intent, and I might know who it is, and I might have to keep my guard up when they come and attack again. When everyone had left the test site, in the corner of my eyes I see UA robots cleaning up the exam site, and from my fight I can see different robots coming and collecting whatever was left of the Cogs and Staroid Pisces and taking them somewhere. It might be Power Loader grabbing them, maybe going to study them to make improvements for the robots later. When making it back inside I went back to the viewing room to help grade everyone who had taken the test today. Little did everyone know that I had a talk with Nezu a few hours before the test had started. When talking with Nezu I asked her if I can be a teacher on hand-to-hand combat, since I think it is a good idea since everyone relies on their quirks too much. When Nezu said yes she gave me the teacher job at UA for hand-to-hand combat on training days. I am still a student there since I've graduated already and won't be doing any work at all, but I'm going to make friends and have fun with people my age and make a family with all of them throughout our 3 years here. When entering the viewing room they still need my help with analyzing skills that no one can beat, not even Izumi hero books that she makes about every hero's strength, weakness, and how to improve their quirk. Few hours later, when grading all of the tests only like half of the test takers pass the written part of the exams, which is good since from the previous years that I had to help score are not that bad this year. When it came to the final part of the test it was going over to see who got the secret hero point in the test, and only 15 test takers got them while the rest only focused on the bots and not their surroundings. Hours went by and it was the next day, and it was 3 p.m. and we had started at 6 p.m. the other day. When we finished I went to my own locker that was in the teacher lounge, and it had been there since I was young. I opened it and grabbed my own sleeping bag like Aizawa, but a rose color instead, like Aizawa yellow one that she has all the time. When getting in the sleeping bag and went to my spot on the couch and seeing Aizawa there on her side of her spot already about to sleep, and when she saw me she just smiled at me and we both went to sleep fast, and probable every other staff there by staying up past 24 hours since everyone got here yesterday at 6 a.m. and the test started at 8 a.m. and good thing that all of us had the day and some night off because of this test. No one Pav. As a shadowing figure looks through a mirror and staring at something or someone smiling because of what they have ready and their plans for it. You may be able to defeat our foot soldiers and generals. Now let's see if you can go against something you can't defeat and won't win because everything was perfect until you had to show up, said the shadowing figure and walked away planning on what to do next. As the mirror started to show that it was Izuku the shadow figure was talking about. Time skip. Izuku Pav. It has been a few weeks now and the first day of UA is tomorrow. I am in the staff room in UA helping all the teachers with their last-minute duties before the school opens. Looking over at Vlad and seeing her going over the new students of 1B profiles that will be her class and taking down notes while taking a look at Aizawa, well she has them in front of her not even taking a look at them. Knowing her she will not bother to look at them and will look at whoever makes it pass her test that has potential and will be expelled. Grabbing a pot of black coffee and giving it to Aizawa, she said thanks and said that I can go over the students of 1A and see if there is any potential in them. While going over the 1A student's profile, I can tell it is going to be a headache for Aizawa and myself when we teach them for regular and heroic classes. When scanning through them, I saw both of my girlfriends in 1A. I can handle Momo and Jiro and help them with the homework like I have been doing. Some of the students have some interesting quirks, from zero gravity, hardening, acid, invisibly, frog, dark shadow, explosion, and one that has two quirks that is half cold, half hot. When I finished all but one file, and it was Izumi file, taking a look at it shows that it was updated 2 days ago on the quirk section, and for the spot of where it showed how often you used your quirk to train, it had shown 0. I knew the reason why it said 0, and so I decided to give Aizawa a heads up for tomorrow quirk placement test. Hey Aizawa, just to let you know, the student named Izumi Midoriya had just unlocked her quirk and used it for the first time during the entrance exams. So that explains why she was so injured after one attack she did. I told her, thanks for letting me know, because I think that she did not train her quirk at all for some control of it. Now that you told me that she had just unlocked it during the exams, I might let that slide, but if she does bad tomorrow, that is not my fault. Pulse it rare to see a late bloomer getting their quirk past 10 years, said Aizawa. When she finished talking, she finished her coffee and went to sleep because of patrol tonight she had. When it was time to go home, I went up to Aizawa and asked her if I could go with her tonight to help. She looked at me and said I can come, and was told to meet up on the roof at XXX at 11 p.m. After she said the place and time, she left to go home, and I did the same. When I got home it was around 5 p.m. and my mom does not get home at 10 p.m. so I just went to my room to change and went to sleep to get ready for tonight. Time skip. I got up to the sound of my alarm for tonight's patrol that was with Aizawa. Getting out of bed and taking a quick shower and getting into my so-called hero costume that I have, but it is just a male style of Aizawa costume without the scarf and goggles. After putting it on, I started eating something that helped me stay awake for tonight. When I was about to leave, my mom asked me where I was going this late at night. I told her that I'm doing a night patrol with Aizawa, and she already agreed to it. When my mom said okay and be safe, she went to her room and went to bed. Now since it is night time, I decide to be one of the Black Rangers to help me with the environment, since at night black can help me blend in the shadows more. I decided to be the Dino Thunder Black Ranger with the power of inviolably to help with for the patrol. Time skip. Once I got to the meeting area, Aizawa had just landed behind to tell me what we were going to do for the night. When she finished what the plan was, it sounded easy, but knowing that more experienced villains come out at night than the day, since they don't want to get caught in broad daylight. A few hours have passed and it is now 3 a.m. and our patrol ends at 6 a.m. and I finally understand why Aizawa has her sleeping bag with her and could sleep right on the spot. When 5 a.m. hit, we just finished busting a villain for human trafficking women that had weak, villainous and some quirkless to someone for experiments of some kind. Looking at the time, UA opened in 2 hours, and that is when Aizawa and I patrol had ended and we both went to UA to shower and change and get some sleep as much as we could. When we finished changing, there was only 10 minutes till class starts, and me and Aizawa were both in our sleeping bags and both making our way to the door of the classroom, and only when we both got to the door it was wide open with 3 people standing in the way, and one of them noticed us and started to freak out, which got the rest of the class to quiet down and look our way. It took you all 2 minutes to notice us and to quiet down, which is not good at all, said Aizawa while drinking her jello packet. When the students were about to say something, Aizawa beat them to it and introduced herself, and I was happy that she did not make me do it as well. My name is Miss Aizawa and I are your homeroom teacher, as well as the one in the other sleeping bag. I know this all of sudden, but go put these on and make your way to the training ground and be there in 10 minutes. That starts now, said Aizawa. Everyone started to stare at her until she started to count down, which got everyone to start grabbing their gym clothes and make their way to change and get to the training grounds. Aizawa paused. When everyone in the classroom left to get change, I looked down and saw Izuku in the sleeping bag still. I only stared at him and went to where his feet were and grabbed him and started dragging him to the field. When we both got to the field and no one was here yet and the timer only had 2 minutes left, I made sure to put the alarm sound on the highest setting and place it right next to Izuku, and during that time everyone got to the field with only 10 seconds to spare. When the timer went off, it scared Izuku out of his sleeping bag and into a fighting style, and when he figured what had happened and got embarrassed from it. Now that everyone is here and awake, we can start with the quirk assessment test to see where you are in the class, and if you do bad you will be expelled or moved to general ed. And before you say anything, us teachers have free range in UA to teach how we see if you belong here. Life is not fair plus my class and my rules. Quote. No one made a sound which I like. Time skip. Throughout the test some of them did good or bad, since with the help of their quirks it made it easier in that area. When the final test came up, it was the ball throw test and everyone did well, and now it is time for the last one and it's Midoriya's turn to throw, and since what Izuku told me, I will give her a chance first after giving her a scolding. When I finished scolding her I gave her the ball to get the test done with. When Midoriya let the ball go it made a few sonic booms, and when it landed the score was 705.3 feet. When it was all over I showed them their placement and told them I was lying, and they were able to stay in the hero course. Now that is all over with, go back and get change and go to the gym for the school year presentation that Nezu is going to do, and to introduce new teachers as well, so you better hurry before it starts in 30 minutes. When I said that, everyone left in a hurry to shower and change for the presentation. When the whole test was going on no one said a thing or even look at Izuku, and he was right next to me and I kind of found it funny that they did not notice him at all. Time skip. Nezu Pav. As the day was coming to the end it was time for the orientation to begin. Every time that I do orientation I always have it in the beginning of the day, but since I know what Aizawa was thinking of doing her quirk test I decided to do it at the end of the day when they're all finished. When walking into the auditorium I can see that halfway full with the new students of this year, and I can tell this year was going to be a fun one with Izuku here and as well to mess around with the new students that I like to do each time. When it was almost time all the classes were here except for 1A. I was about to start until the doors in the back opened up and came in all of the 1A class came, and Aizawa was with them, which surprised me. This might be the first time that Aizawa did not expel any of her students, which is a good sign this year. When they came in and sat down all the teachers in the auditorium gave me the thumbs up, so I was good to start. Good evening new students of UA and welcome to the first day of this year. Now that class 1A is here we can finally start, and to my surprise all of them are here, which is a good sign that they all have potential and none of them were expelled. Yes, you heard that right, we teachers here at UA have free range of how we teach our class. If you are not fit for the school we will expel you or you will be transferred to a different class. Now for this year we will have something special. We will have 2 brand new teachers coming in and you all be excited because the new teachers are the number 1 hero All Might and the number 3 hero the Power Ranger, or what others like to call them, the Ranger. When I said that, everyone in the auditorium was going crazy about how they got All Might as a teacher as well as the Ranger, which I kind of understand. About All Might they might go crazy, but for Izuku it was a different story, and I'm just going to say that they want him, which I'm not going into it that. Now that you're all quiet out we can introduce them. When I said that, All Might gave her mighty laugh and jumped down from the ceiling, which everyone was surprised because they did not notice her when they walked in. And for Izuku he came out of the ground in his ranger form, and from his entrance I'm surprised that the ground did not break when he jumped out of it. When everyone had to finally calm down I let some of the students answer questions, and they were surprised in how All Might and the Ranger wanted to come here and teach here and be with the new hero course students and teach them how it really means to be a hero. When everyone heard that what was going to happen, both class 1A and B were happy that they got both All Might and the Ranger to help them to be hero. The rest of the audience was not happy though, because they're saying how the hero course gets everything. When they said that I was smiling and try not to laugh out loud because I had something up my sleeve and I'm going to tell him what else is going to happen this year. Now that you all know that they are both going to be teaching both of the hero courses, I got something else to explain to the rest of you. On the days when the hero courses are not training, the Ranger will come to each of your classes and help your teacher during those days. Each day will be a different class and it will go through general, support, and business classes to help you in those classes, because he knows a lot of things in each class, because the Ranger here has a few master degrees in different subjects in business and support, of course, as regular other classes as well. Isn't that right, Ranger? When I said that, Izuku turned around and gave me a deadpan expression, and he looked back at the audience and gave up a big thumbs up, telling him that he will help him on certain days throughout the week. That got everyone auditorium to become much louder and say that they'll be equal now with the hero course for spending time with the Ranger. When looking over at Izuku, he was not happy at all because there was a rain cloud over him, which I found funny, and it is going to be a good year this year and I hope nothing comes around and makes it worse. Different location, dark side of the moon. As we see a figure watching a magical mirror to see what was going on Earth and trying to find a weakness to Power Ranger. No matter what I do, that stupid Ranger always finds a way to defeat our armies and I cannot find a weakness to him. I'm still wondering how does he has access to the other Rangers' powers and how those things bond to him. Half of those items they give him his power are destroyed or do not work anymore, which still surprises me how he got him to work again. I just need to find a way to make him powerless so we can finally rule the Earth once and for all, said. As a figure walks away and walks into a giant meeting room full of every single villain that the Rangers had defeated. Oh Lord Zed, are you finally done looking at that stupid mirror and figuring out a way to defeat that Ranger from defeating our armies? Because he already to be a half of them already and he almost defeated one of us if the backup did not arrive in time, said Madame Odious. I agree with her because the amount of times I almost had those energems from those stupid Rangers a couple times, for all of a sudden they always have a plan that always works for their favor. With the power of the energems they made a black hole and sucked me through it as well as my ship with my prisoners and crew on it, said Sledge. We must find a way to destroy his powers because he has the dino gems with them, which is impossible since after they were defeated the first time they lost all their power, but now I know they are working again. I need those gems to finish what I started. I had already had the black and white dino gems, but of course the Rangers took them when they infiltrated my base to save their teacher from my torture, said Mesogog. I agree with you all, but it's not like we just throw him away to a different dimension with no way back. If so, come to me and tell me because we need to get rid of him. Wait a minute, where Professor Cog? Because he found a way to dimension different worlds to get away from his Rangers. Master Xander, did he come to you look for help to get rid of his Rangers and he'll help you with your Ranger problem, didn't he? Said Lord Zed. Yes, he had come to me to ask for help because of his Ranger problem and he asked for Sanzu River water, but I only agreed if he got rid of my Ranger problem. He was closed until his Ranger came in and saved the day, which got on my nerves, said Xander. As they were discussing how to get rid of Izuku, Professor Cog had walked into the room. I heard that you need my assistance of how to get rid of a Ranger, and to answer your question I have designs to make a dimension gun that allows the user to travel to different dimensions and with no way of returning without the original gun. And before you ask, I need to redesign it since I am not in my original world. Is going to take a few months to make, at least that. I'll leave now, then I'll see you when I'm finished with the dimension gun. Good day, said Professor Cog. Well, now since we now know when the dimension gun will be finished, we will have to plan out our attack more and try to get everyone what they wanted. All seats were all done, nation, that is what we all want. Find different ways when we get that. We all have to separate into areas where we are in control of that. Does that sound fair to everyone? Said Zed. When Lord Zed finished speaking, everyone at the meeting all agreed to what he said about controlling an area on Earth. Izuku Pav. It has been almost 2.5 weeks now being a teacher at UA, helping every teacher with a class, and it was not what I was expecting at all for the first years. The first class that I did after Nezu had announced to the whole auditorium from the first day was went to the business classes and teach him what it means to run a business. For teaching the classes for the business courses, I made them try to sell me something and do some ways for me to buy their product with the right price that we can both agree upon that makes us both happy, and that's what I did for the first week. The 2 weeks I was in the support department helping everyone how to make an invention that works without the blueprints to get them up to speed and by memory if some hero asks for that, create an item. When teaching the support course, I had one student that caught my eye, and her name was Mei Hatsume. The way that she had caught my eyes was the way she looked. Bright pink hair with an invention that I believe she made herself that I believe helps her with her vision to zoom in on things. The way she does not care about the uniform at all and wears what she wants. When seeing her quirk in action, it is an eye quirk that lets her zoom on things like her invention she wears. The strange thing that she does is call her inventions her babies, which I can tell it's going to confuse people later, but not the people who know her. When the class was working on making inventions, I was going around to make sure that everything was all right until I was grabbed by the arm and pulled by Mei and get dragged to her station. All right, I got what I need and now time for measurements for my new baby to work on, said Mei. When she said what she needed me for measurements on her new baby she calls them, and I kind of find it funny that she did not look at me at all when she drags me over here. Now that I have the tape measure, let's get started, and by the don't move at all or I have to do this all over, so stay still. May said. When she said that she started to put her hands all over me, feeling all of my muscle and telling me she likes them, and I started to blush red from what she was, but when she went to my chest she stopped and looked at my face. It took her a second to realize who she was doing it on, and she back away blushing and started to say sorry. I told her it was fine, and when I said that I got a good look at her up close and she looked like someone who I can be with as well with Momo and Jiro, but that is going to be her choice and I'm not going to ask her since she has to ask me, since that's what's the rule I was given for this harem thing. She told me that she did not need me anymore with a red face still and went back to working on her baby while I could see her smile in a reflection on her desk, and that was the last day of support, and tomorrow is the hero course students. The next day, when it was time for the hero course students' turn to me to teach them for combat training with my mom, and I got to see what this class can do. First we'll do class 1A, then go to tomorrow 1B. When making my way to class 1A classroom I saw my mom coming out of the teacher lounge in her Silver Age costume getting ready, and I went over to her and decided to walk to the classroom together. Hey mom, you are on your way to 1A for their training today for the hero versus villains training? I asked. Yes, I'm on my way to 1A for their combat training, and I know that you are helping me today since I'm not good at teaching since this is my first time. And are you going to morph in a ranger form now or before the training starts? All might ask. I thought about it and decide to do it when everyone is in their costume and I can morph into a ranger that no one has seen yet, I said. My mom looks at me and nodded, and when we were around the corner to enter the classroom Aizawa came round the corner and told us that they all are now. When she said that, my mom transformed and decided to do an entrance. When she did that everyone was super happy because they got the number one hero that gets to teach them to be heroes. When that was happening I entered the doorway and gave a little laugh of what had just happened. When I did that everyone was surprised that was here too. No way, we got the ranger as our teacher as well. Today is going to be a fun class, said Mina and Toru, who were hugging each other. When they were all quiet I told them it was nice seeing them again, which got everyone's attention, and they asked me what I meant. I told them that it was at the quirk test that they did and I was next to Miss Aizawa the whole time, and told some of them that I know at least 5 people in the classroom already, and they asked me who I know already. I told them that I first met Momo and Jiro when I saved them from being killed and being exposed that same day, and that we have been dating for almost 3 years now. Next was Uraraka when I saw he placing bets with the crowd in front the music store of how everyone bet I would do bad and Uraraka betted I would do good. At the end she had won around almost 5k. Last was meeting Sue and Izumi at the meet and greet when they won prizes of limited edition collectibles that can't be found in any stores. When I finished everyone was surprised of what I said, but look at Momo and Jiro the most since I am dating them both. When my mom told everyone that they can start hero training and they can grab their costume and meet at the training ground that was Battleground B. When we made to the training ground everyone was in costume, but we were missing Izumi, and not after that she came out in her costume. When we were about to start the training, my mom asked me if I was going to morph. When she said that everyone was getting excited to see me morph in person and I'm doing a new ranger that they have not seen yet. When I was about to morph I was told to stop by Sue because she had a question. I am sorry that I stopped you, Izuku, and that is how come when you morph into different rangers each time, how come some of them have skirts? There's always a skirt on, some yellow and blue but mostly pink. Why do you have a skirt, or you just don't realize that you are wearing one or not? Asked Sue. Now that I think about it, do I always wear a skirt when I use my forms of the pink rangers and other female rangers, which is leaving me confused. I have never noticed that I wear a skirt when I'm in one of the female ranger forms. I have to try this. If you're right, then it will be a good story to tell others that I never noticed at work when fighting. Now let's see what happens when I turn to pink ranger, I said. When I moved my arm had glow and the Time Force morpher appeared on my wrist as I transformed into the Time Force pink ranger. When I finished morphing I looked down and I was wearing a skirt, which got me embarrassed, and I understood what Sue, because I had never noticed that I wear skirt every time that I mostly am a pink ranger or one of the old forms that the females were. When I look back at everyone they were all surprised that I was wearing a skirt, and some started to laugh because how funny it looked on me, which I kind of agree, and it is really funny on me. After everyone came down, we started the exercise of Heroes vs Villains class for today. My mom and dad explained what we were doing and how it worked for being played into teams of 2 that versus each other, from picking lots to see who was the villain or the hero. The villains had to hide a bomb in somewhere in the building trying to survive for 20 minutes. Don't let the heroes find the bomb or get captured, and the villains wins, and heroes need to find the bomb and get the villains to win. When we were picking teams to see who goes first, the teams that were chosen were Team A, which was Uraraka and Izumi as heroes, versus Team D, which was Iida and Katsumi as villains. When that happened, Katsumi had the biggest grin on her face and looked straight at Izumi, which I can't tell was not going to end well. Time skip 10 minutes. It has only been 10 minutes and there is destruction, a word inside of the building that they were in for the exercise. It turns out that Katsumi and Izumi were childhood best friends and they knew each other before they were 4 and have been together since now. From what I was hearing, Katsumi was mad at Izumi for having a quirk, all of a sudden saying that he had won this whole time and that she was looking down on her for some reason. From hearing where she was saying, I can tell that she has a big ego, but if I was in her shoes I'd be mad as well if my best friend had a quirk as well and lied about it. When it was finally over, the whole building was destroyed from the battle, but the hero won anyways, and there's going to be a headache once I am done with these 2. When all of the battle training exercise had ended, I told everyone to go back and changing room and change and meet back in the classroom so I can do introductions with each other so I get to know. Time skip. When we made it back to the classroom, I had everyone introduce themselves of what their quirk was and their hobbies are. When everyone was done, there was only 30 minutes of class left, so I let them do whatever and they went into small groups. The first one I saw was a group of 6 that became friends really quick. At the front of the class one can see that Iida is trying to get Bakugo to get her feet off the desk, with Kirishima and Denki next to her watching this go down between the 2. When that was happening, I saw everyone getting along with each other but one. She was in the back corner reading and writing something done in her notebook. When making my way to the back of the room where she is and trying to get her to open up more to others since she does not talk to anyone today throughout the class. When I made my way over to her, she closed her book and put her stuff away and walked towards me. When we were staring at each other, but before I can saw anything, she told me to watch the mail and be ready of what is going to ask, as she does not want any part of it, and left the room and gave me a worry look in her eyes but tried to cover it up in a smile. When the day ended, Momo offered me a ride to her house so I can spend the night there, but I declined and told her I can on Friday. When she left, I went to the support classroom and pulled out an invention that I keep on seeing in my dreams, and it showed me how to make it, but I don't know what it does yet until it finally completed, and I'm only 3/4 of the way done with it, and I am happy that May does not know about it, because if she does then it will be a mess and she will try and find it if someone talks about it. I did not let that thought stop and try and finish tomorrow's if I can. When a new day came, it was time for me to teach 1B Heroes course, but this time I was on my own since my mom had a meeting with Nezu about what happened yesterday and trying to not go over her limit and let other heroes do their job for a while. When making my way down to 1B room, I started to hear them already, and I can tell that Vlad is telling them random things to them about being better than 1A again, like the last few years that ended badly for a few. When making my way to the door, Vlad opened the door and let me in, and I can tell this is going to be a wonderful time today for training for some of them. When they saw me, some of them were happy that I was there teaching them for hero class today, but before I can say anything, Vlad told them to be quiet and to grab their costumes and head to the training area to get started with the lesson. When finished, they all ran out the door to the changing room. I decided to go to the training area for today's lesson. Time skip. When I got to the training area with no one around, I decided to mess around with the invention that I was working on because I had finished it last night. When I was messing around trying to turn it on for around 5 minutes until my watch started to glow and a beam of colors had shot out to the invention and it started to change to something different than what was in my hands. When taking a close look at it, it changed form what I had before, and a screen was added with audio ad and it was blinking, so I decided to press it to see what happens. Morphing grid power gain, power level 100%. Home of the user is IPR1. DNA samples gain all optional of Earth of Izuku and morphing grid energy are now available to travel to. Select a destination and explore the cosmos without a limit. Said the portal gun. When the now named portal gun, my mind was blown away from this, that I was making a gun that can make traveling dimension passable. I wanted to know more about how travel works, so I decided to ask the gun its functions. Dimension travel can take you anywhere in the multiverse with no consequences. When traveling, time works different when you travel. You can leave this Earth and go to another on and stay on that Earth for a year, while the Earth you were from it will be only a few minutes from when you left, said the portal gun. When I wanted to figure out more about the gun, Class 1B came out in their costume and they look ready for today's lesions about hero versus villains like Class 1A did yesterday, but I'll be doing something different today. Now today 1B you will be doing battle training today and will be fighting each other in a hero versus villain training today, but with a twist, and the twist is, well, I'm not going to tell you since it's a one-time thing that is going to happen sometime during training. I said. When I said that, it got some of them excited about it, but I can see one person having a hard time understanding it, and when I asked if she understand it, but she said she did not know Japaneses that well, and I told her the whole thing again in Englishes, and she was happy that someone can speak Englishes, and she told me her name was Pony, and she said that she will come to me to understand the work better since I'm like the only one that can understand her. Time skip at the last battle. Throughout the training there was some ups and downs of how they worked together with another, and it was not this bad when 1A was doing this, but it was time for the last group to go, and it was Tetsutetis and Kendo as the heroes and Setsuna and Monoma as the villains, and form waiting and reading about every student in this class. These four have what it takes for the twist that is going to happen that I'm about to do. Halfway through the battle I pulled out my phone and told everyone in the room that I had to take a call and left Abara in charge of the class until I got back. When I left the room I made my way to the battle and pulled out my morpher and decided to do the twist when the heroes almost won. Kendo Pav. When me and Tetsutetis were looking for the bomb, Testu said something that made a good point. So when is this so-called twist that was to come up, since nothing had happened yet at all and we are the last ones to go today before we head back to class? Asked Testu. When she said that I had no clue why it did not happen at all, as we made it to the top floor of the building that Setsuna and Monoma were in with the bomb. As we made it to the room, Monoma had a big ego and well, Setsuna had a face that she wanted to murder her to make her quiet. As we all saw each other we got into a fighting stance and started fighting each other. When 3 minutes had passed and we had almost won, but we finally understood what the twist mean. Izuku Pav. When watching them fight to try and win this battle I decide to make the twist happen by taking out the lion blaster, destroying the wall, getting all of their attention as well, the ones in the viewing room, as they now know what the twist was, and it was to fight me and see if they can win or not. When they understand that they need to defeat me I took out my morpher and morphed to the Red Wild Force Ranger. Only red morph. Right after I morph into the Wild Force Red Ranger, both the hero team and villain team just stand there watching until I start to run at them and start to fight. All four of them were frozen in place because they were not expecting me to show up and interrupt their training exercise at all. Kendo was the first one to get out of her shock and get ready to fight because she figured out what she needed to do, because she finally understood what the twist meant. When I was coming in close, Kendo gave out orders to Tetsutetis, Setsuna, and Monoma to figure out how to defeat me and try and capture me without getting knocked out or being eliminated from the fight, because the same rules still apply. If they capture me with the capture tape then I'll be out and they all win the training exercise. Kendo gave out the orders. Monoma quickly touched the three around her to copy their quirks to help her during the battles, then she can only copy for 3 at a time, which were Lizard Tail Splitter from Setsuna, Big Fist from Kendo, and Steel from Tetsutetis. Time skip. Throughout the fight those four had better teamwork than 1A has won. They only had a 2v2, but for 1B for those four is a 1v4. Kendo's plan was starting to work, but it quickly went downhill after Tetsutetis and Monoma started arguing about who should be leader, while Kendo and Setsuna were just staring at them wondering why they were teamed up with each other in the first place. When fighting came to an end they lost because they lost their teamwork at the end because of their arguing, which made them lose, but they did do decent for half the fight. When everyone was back in the viewing room I told them that they all did good today and they all go back to class. When they left it was the end of the day with only 2 hours left of school still, and I had nothing to do, so I decided to try out the portal gun to see where it would take me. I took out the portal gun and let the portal gun decide where I would go. Since it said my home was IPR1 it decided to go to IPR2, so I pushed the green button and pulled the trigger on the portal gun. When the gun fired it made a vortex in front of me that looked like a galaxy in front of me that it looks like a new one was born. While staring at the portal I was hesitant to go through, but I took a deep breath and walked straight in. When I went through the portal it didn't really feel like anything happened. It felt like walking through the door and that was it, but when I looked behind me the portal closed so no one else could walk through it, like a safety switch so no one else could walk through it. Looking around at my surroundings I was in an alleyway which confused me since I was in the middle of the training area at UA. While walking out the alleyway I could see people walking around, but there was one thing that caught my eye and surprised me, and that was seeing a lot of males and females walking together and having a great time with each other. When I saw this I was confused since in my world I was the only male in Japan, but seeing that I am in a different universe or Earth things might be different from my home. While walking around a lot of females were staring at me and blushing seeing me, which I am pretty used to since they always do that on my Earth. The guys that are around females started looking my way and understanding why they were blushing, and I can hear some complaining about having those looks and wishing that they have too. What Izuku look like when he came to IPR2? While walking around I see a building that was not on my Earth and ask them what that building was, and since I was at a new Earth I want to say that I'm from a different country and just moved here. While walking around I saw a group of people that I believe are students with a teacher guy, but when I got closer to the group I was surprised at what was in front of me and I was not ready to expect this at all. The people that were in front of me were class 1A with their teacher being Miss Aizawa, but as a male, and I see my mom as well, but as a male. The most shocking thing was instead of seeing Izumi I saw myself, but a younger version of me. I believe he's like around 14 and I am almost 19, so this is going to be a very weird experience, but I need to figure out what this building is still. When I made up my mind I decided to walk over hoping that no one knows who I am, but knowing Aizawa he is too smart and will probably figure out who I am. I just hope that won't ever happen, but knowing him he's going to figuring me out real quickly. Aizawa Pav. Today was a historic trip because Nezu told me that I had to take the class and bring another teacher with me to a museum. When I asked you what was you remember to, he told me that I had to take class 1A to the Power Ranger Museum because today they are going to let visitors see the morphers up close, because the morphers still had a bit of power left in them before they run out power, so they won't work anymore. When Nezu told me that, I was surprised that the workers at the museum are laying the morphers out to be shown to the guest today, since they are always behind a productive barrier so no one can try to steal them to gain infinite power. When I went back to my class and told them what we were doing today, they all screamed and got more excited about what was happening today. Time skip. When we got to the museum there were a lot of people as well as a couple of heroes around to make sure that no one steals the morphers. As we were walking towards the museum some of my students started to look in a certain direction, which gained my attention as well. Looking over to where my sins were looking at was a man that looked around his late teens, but what got me more confused and suspicious was that he looks a lot like Midoriya but older. When you get closer to ask him something but he beat to it, but when he asks me got me off guard of what he has asked. Excuse me, can you tell me where I am? I don't know what this place is and what this building is because of the amount of people coming in and out of it today. I'm just wondering what this building, asked the look-alike Midoriya. When I was about to respond to him, Problem Child beat me to it. What do you mean you do not know what this building is? This building is the museum of the hiring the ones my heroes are protected the earth from villains a long time ago, and today they are letting out the morphers so people can get closer look at them and probably hold. They still be power within the morphers so people can transform into a ranger, but the thing is no one knows what the words are to activate the morphers. I hope that answers your question, said Problem Child. Older Izuku Pav. When I heard my other self talk about what was that building and what's inside of it, I was surprised by what he said. That building is the museum or Power Rangers, the ones that protected this earth years ago. For them Power Rangers existed, but for me they never did, and I became the only ranger. I was chosen to become the first Power Ranger on my earth. When I said thank you I was about to walk away, but I was captured by a familiar binding cloth that wrapped around me that yanked me back to them, since I know that Aizawa did this. I thought I could get away from this, but turns out this is might be smarter than mine, but looking at him now it's kind of weird seeing my aunt as a male. When he did that I didn't see all of class 1A staring at me and Aizawa wondering what was going on. When he captured me, he asked me who I was and told me that I better not lie because Detective Sukouch was right next to Aizawa because he was at the front of the museum making sure that no one steals anything because of today. And they start asking me questions of who I was and why I look like Problem Child. I asked if I can speak to him in private, but they told me that I can't, and I do on the spot in front of all class 1A in All Might. So I started to tell them who I was and where I came from. Throughout the whole conversation the detective was staring at me because what I was saying was true, and when he told everyone that I said it was true. When Aizawa heard that everything I said was true, he was staring at me shocked and let me go. He told me not to leave his side for now and we will talk to Nezu at the end of the day. When I got up, everyone in class 1A was asking me questions of how I really was Midoriya from another world, what my quirk was, why am I older, and other stuff. I told them that I would tell him once you get back to school when this field trip is over. When we got inside of the museum, it showed images of the past, what the Rangers have done, in a map where every single section for the Rangers are at. Mr. Aizawa told everyone that they are going to stick together and walk from the beginning to the end of the Power Rangers history because there is going to be a test after this on a later date, which got some of the class to whine. When we made it to the first section, it was Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the first Ranger team. In that area it showed a few battles that they had fought against. It showed that they introduced the Green Ranger for the first time, of how he was evil at first but the Rangers saved them to make them part of their team. Throughout that section of the museum it showed that the Green Ranger slowly disappeared and was replaced by a new Ranger that was White Ranger. It tells everyone that the Green Ranger's fully lost his powers and gained new powers of light and became the White Power Ranger. Throughout that section and showed them all the model weapons, vehicles and all their Zords and Megazords. When that section was finished, the next section that popped up was Alien Rangers, and they only had a short section because they only showed up for a few days before the new Ranger showed up, and they were the Zeo Rangers. It talked about how they were much more powerful than the Mighty Morphin Rangers, with a new enemy for them to face. This kept on going until the last Ranger team was Cosmic Fury Rangers, of how they defeated the last bit of evil in the universe. When we were about to go to the section where they were showing the morphers and let everyone get close to him and try them on to see if they work or not. While being in line, class 1A was talking about how awesome the Rangers were and how they wished they could see them during their time as heroes. While listening to them I heard a few talk about how they have a favorite Ranger team and what was your favorite color of that team. Guys throughout the museum, who was your guy's favorite Ranger? Because my favorite Ranger is the Yellow Ninja Storm Ranger, said Sato. Mine is the Yellow Mystic Force Ranger, said Denki. Mighty Morphin Red Ranger, said Ojiro. Red Zeo Ranger is mine, said Kirishima. Red Wild Force Ranger because he takes care of the animals, said Koda. Mine is the Gold and Silver Rangers that were shown of how they sparkle, Aoyama said. The Pink Lost Galaxy is my fav, said Mina. I will say the Green Lightspeed is my favorite, said Sue. The Blue SPD Ranger, how it's a team about the law, Iida told them. I got to say the Pink Space Ranger, how they travel in space, said Uraraka. Super Megaforce for me, said Shoji. Mine the Yellow Dino Thunder Ranger, said Jiro. The Black RPM for my, said Siro. Mine is the Phantom Ranger because how mysterious he is, said Tokiyami. The Snow Ranger of Mystic Force, Todoroki plainly said. The Pink Time Force Ranger for me, Toru said. The Red Overdrive Ranger, Bakugo said. I don't know, possibly the Green Ranger from Mighty Morphin, said Deku. Mine are all the girls' Rangers, said Mineta as he gets hit with Su Tongue. Well, mine is the Red Samurai Ranger for me, said Momo. As the line moves to try out the morphers and see if they will react to anyone or not, and when it hits class 1A turn they have a fun time trying on each of the morphers and trying to figure out what the word is to activate them. When I got to my turn I told the workers that I was fine and I didn't want to try, but class 1A didn't let me through until at least try to activate it to see if I can turn into a Power Ranger for the first time in years. When they gave me one morphers I was scared because I actually know what the words are and I was wondering if they will react to me since I am the only Ranger that is active, but will they react to me since I'm in a different world? When they hand me one more I noticed something was wrong with it and it was a prop, and I know that this morpher would not work because this morpher was missing something to activate it. It was the Power Rangers Dino Charge morpher they handed me, and the thing that was missing was the Dino Chargers, and as well as the holes to put them in were blocked so you can transform into a Ranger at all. When I look at the other morphers they were all fake, which I can tell is a fake or not. I asked if the employees knew these were fakes or not, but my surprise was when they said these are not fakes at all. I told him that all these morphers were fake because of small details that no one noticed. I pointed out to each and every detail on the morphers that it shows it was fake, how there were missing parts and how certain holes are not supposed to be covered were blocked off, and as well as missing parts to activate it's gone. When the employees looked at the morphers they were shocked because I was right and they brought out the real morphers earlier and now they were gone. When the police asked me how I knew they were fake, I was about to answer them until the explosion happened right outside of the museum. Aizawa and the rest of Class 1A went outside to see what caused the explosion, and outside were building trying to get the real morphers to activate because they have the real ones and all the parts needed for today, but the problem was they didn't know the password to activate it. The heroes that were around the museum protecting it came right to the villains and demanded to give back to morphers that they stole, but before they could do anything a few ranked villains came out of hiding and started to fight the heroes. And this was happening. Mr. Aizawa jumped in and started fighting the villains while Class 1A was getting people away from the fight. When this was happening I saw All Might was right next to me in his small form. I got close to him and started whispering in his ear saying, is he going to transform and help or not? He looked back and looked down because he told me that he retired a few weeks ago after he defeated All for One. When you told me that I was surprised because that never happened on my Earth, so I just had to ask him what year and month it was. When he told me what day it was, I was only a few months into the future after some raid they did with their work studies they will do later on. When it did that I signed, I couldn't just stand there anymore and I jumped to the fight the villains. Well, when taking down the villains it was kind of easy since they were nothing like the villains that the Rangers had fought, but there was one feeling like caught my eye and was giving the other heroes a hard time because of his rank and who he was. It was a most wanted villain Muscle because of how many heroes he had killed throughout his rampage. When I came face to face with them he just laughed and said he wants a rematch of what happened to him during the camp, which had no clue about. When I asked him what he was talking about he said that I beat him in a fight on a cliffside near the camping area protecting a dead hero's kid. Muscular was laughing like a maniac, sign how he wished there was a Power Ranger that he would fight. When he said that I asked him which type of Power Ranger would you like to fight so he can stop laughing. Muscular has stopped laughing and looked straight at me saying that he wants to fight the White Ranger from Dino Thunder because how strong he was, but it's never going to happen since they are no longer as this and since they have their morphers it's an impossible to activate though. When he said that I decided to tell him that if you want to fight a Ranger so bad I will get him a Ranger to fight. When I said that everyone, every single hero, villain, and civilian stop what they were doing and look right at me saying that I was crazy that I can't get a Ranger to show up and fight Muscular. When I said that Monster was laughing saying that it's impossible to get him that Ranger, but he stopped laughing when I held up my wrist that showed my watch. Everyone was staring at my watch and it started to glow white. When the glowing stopped it showed the white Dino Thunder morpher, which caught everyone off guard and surprised everyone as well because that morpher is still with the villains but not glowing and broken as well from the crack in it. Right when I finish morphing everyone froze because they are seeing a actual Power Ranger in front of them, and the last time anyone saw the Power Ranger was around almost 500 years ago, so seeing a Power Ranger now is something special to some people and some are terrified of what this Ranger is because how powerful this range was back then. Muscular on the other hand was laughing like a madman saying how he finally gets to fight a Power Ranger at full strength. When Muscular said that he ran full speed right the start of his biggest fight he has ever done, and it is with a Power Ranger. Basically how the fight went and ended at 1:32. When the fight was almost over, Muscular was complaining how he was not winning the fight, so he decided to bring out a syringe and stab himself with it. When I asked him what it was he told me it was Trigger, which is a quirk enhancing drug that makes them 10 times stronger than before, which is going to give me a hard time. When I was about to attack, the other ranking villains brought out the same syringe and stab, so they will be infected with Trigger. When I saw this I knew that the other heroes were going to have a hard time, so I decided to make clones of myself. Everyone there was surprised that I was able to make clones of myself, and the most surprising part is that the 4 clones brought up their left wrist and each one of them had a different color glowing on their wrist from red, yellow, blue, and black. When the glowing had died down it showed the remaining Dino Thunder morphers. When the heroes and villains saw this they were stunned to see the Dino Thunder morphers active but confused as well since they saw the morphers in the villains' hands deactivated. When I looked at my clones and I nodded to them and they all understood what they needed to do. When everyone saw the clones morph into the rest of the Dino Thunder Rangers and all of us activated Super Dino mode, make the fight fair. Yes, now there's more Rangers for me to destroy, and what's with the new get up? You think that adding spikes to your costume make you stronger, or think again now it's time for you to die, said Muscular. I just wanted to make this fight fair since the other heroes are having a hard time against your comrades, and since you and the rest of villains gain a boost in power, I thought that we should do the same to make it fair. And just so you know, the White Dino Ranger's Super Dino mode is the strongest mode out of all, I said. When starting the fight against Muscular again, he was having a hard time trying to land a hit on me because how fast I was going throughout the battle. Monster became weak when Trigger had ended his boost, which caused him to pass out from using it. It had also affected the rest of the villains that used it, which caused them all to collapse. They are fighting the Rangers. Time skip. When the cops had finally arrived to arrest the villains and take them away, I was being questioned by almost every hero that was at the scene, asked me how I was able to access the power of the Rangers and asking me to give them access to the other Rangers. When I heard that, I immediately told them that they cannot gain the power of the morning at all because they had to be worthy of the power, and it has to choose for you to access the power, which it did for me. When I told him that, they got quite quickly and looked at each other before yelling at me to hand over the Dino Thunder Morphers so they could have them. I gave them my dead look that I was done and just walked away from them and walked straight to Aizawa in Class 1A. When I got close to the group, they all looked at me surprised and started asking me how I was able to morph into the Ranger and how there were double the Dino Thunder Morphers. When they asked me, I told him that I'll tell them back to Ua so no one else can hear where I got mine from. Before we left, I walked over to where the officers were handling all the morphers that the Rangers had used. Taking a look at them, I can tell that they were old and about to fall apart. When I picked up the original Mighty Morphin Morpher, it was broken and with a bunch of cracks all around that I can tell that it was damaged from a blast. When I was looking at it, my watch story the glow again and shot out morphing energy into the broken morpher. When he was done, the morpher was all fixed as well as the power coin as well, since now I can see it's the dragon coin since it's no longer damaged. When looking at the morpher, it started the glow bright green and disappeared from my hands. I was surprised at what just happened and I was confused where it went. When I was about to start looking for it, I heard someone scream from Aizawa area, and when I looked, I saw the bright green light and I figured out where the morpher went. When I went over to where light was, I saw the younger version of me with the morpher in his hands. Where this come from? Why is it in my hands and why is here bright light? Said a surprised Deku. I can tell you what I had. When I found this morpher in the pile of the storm morphers, I saw it was damaged and destroyed. I went out to examine it and my morpher started a glow and fixed it. While I was examining it, it had disappeared from my hands and I was looking for it. When looking for it, I went to the other morphers as well and fixed them, and I hope that they find their true leaders to protect Earth. I hope that answers your question, I said to Deku. When I said that, everyone in the class started to congratulate him for being a brand new Power Ranger 500 years. Time skip. When we made it to Ua, I explained everything about who I was and how I have the powers of the Power Rangers. I explained what my life is like and how this world is different from mine. Everyone in the room was surprised by what I was telling them of how I was the only male in Japan and there 5% or less of males in the world, the rest being females that rule the world. When I was asked who was in their places since half the teachers are male, I told them that they still work at Ua. They are just females. When I said that, they were all weirded out from what I just said, since I will be too if I figure out that I was a female. When I told them that All Might was my mother, did a 180 and looked straight at me, seeing that I had grown a second head. I told them how he became my mother from finding me in the alleyway and adopted me. I told him how I became a ranger and figured out that I have a little sister from my actual mother. I have a little sister named Izumi, but the thing is she does not know that I am her brother, and I plan on telling her later on. When I finished answering all the questions, I asked to see All Might for a second. When talking to All Might, I asked him if I can borrow another me for a bit so I can train him how to use the power of the Ranger as well, teach him the other ways of being a leader for the Rangers. Time skip. I have been here for at least a few months now and I have finished Deku's training being the Green Mighty Morphin Power Ranger. While training Deku, the other morphers had started to glow and teleport to their new owners, which were some people from Class 1A and B, and I started to train them as well and told him that Deku is the leader. When I asked Deku how he uses One for All, and he told me that you have to let go throughout your whole body like a river and not letting it be in one place when you use it, because if you go throughout your whole body you can adjust to it real quickly and be much more powerful without breaking your bones. When it was time for me to go to all of Class 1A and B as well, the teachers came out and say goodbye to me because I was leaving to go back to my home. Well, I was about to enter but Nezu came to me and told me that I am welcome back anytime as a hero because of what I had just taught them for being new rangers and for being better heroes. When I brought my portal gun, May came out of nowhere and started to run at me trying to grab my portal gun. A few people grabbed her in time and held her down with her complaining, saying how she needed to see the portal gun and to disassemble it to see how it worked. When I saw this I was surprised that I had seen her for the first time in months since that was here. I look back at everyone goodbye when I pull up the screen and type in the go home button and pull the trigger. When that happened the portal gateway opened up which surprised everyone. Right about to enter I looked back at anyone's and told them let the power protect you, and I walked right in going home to my earth with the portal closing behind me. When I walked back from the portal it said welcome back to IPR1. When I was about to check my watch to see what time it was I had only been gone for 5 minutes and I was in IPR2 for almost 4 months teaching them to be rangers. With all that happened I had one amazing adventure and now it's time to continue the journey by teaching Class 1A on their trip to the USJ in a few weeks. Plus information to help Izumi with her one for all training and to help her with her breaking bones problem, as Miss Aizawa calls her problem child, which stills make me laugh even if I was in a different earth, still makes me laugh of what she calls her, which is kind of true from being around with me with my habits that I have. To be continued. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and make sure to like and please hype this video. Now we will see you in the next video.